listener, this is Iain Lee. It's Friday, the 7th of September. Isn't it darker in the mornings? I know, I sound like an old man, but it's true. Very dark this morning. Good morning, thank you for listening. Lots coming up on the show this morning. Listen, when you think of problem drinking, you may think of young people. Well, think again. We're going to find out today why it's older people who are actually worst affected. If you've been on the A6 in Luton, have you noticed a strange pong? We try and find out why, and our reporter Justin Dealey needs your help to find the worst smell in the three counties. And today I will put willow to leather when I meet a local cricket team who play at Lord's on Sunday. That's exciting. I'll be playing cricket in the BBC car park, so I suggest if you've got a car parked here, team, move it immediately.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I do warn you, it could be a grumpy show this morning. Not because I'm playing cricket. I'm looking forward to smacking a ball around in a very tiny, confined space. My back is killing me. It really is. It's been troublesome. I won't go into too much detail. This is not why you listen to this show, is to hear me whinge about my bodily parts falling off. But it's been painful for the last few days. And then this morning I got out of bed and I'm sure I heard like a snap or a creak. There was something. My back made a noise. That's not normal, is it? Anyway, I can't move properly, so if I kick off, I apologise in advance, and I'll wait for the medication to take effect. You can give me a call on anything that we're talking about this morning. 08459 455 555. I think it's important for you to remember that whatever we talk about this morning, if something clicks with you, if you've got an opinion or a story or just something you want to share, do please give me a call. It'll be nice to talk to you this morning. 08459 455 555. You can text as well, 81333, starting your text 3CR. And you can email, of course, 3cr@bbc.co.uk. Now, who has got the worst drink problem? The young? The middle-aged? Well, actually, and maybe surprisingly, it's people over 65. A BBC investigation has discovered far more pensioners are being admitted to hospital because of alcohol-related injuries and illnesses than 16 to 24-year-olds. We've got some amazing reports on this later on. Our reporter Sophie Soleri has been out in the three counties talking to over 65s about their alcohol intake. Have a listen to this.
Cheers. There you go.
How many times a day do you have a drink?
3 days in the week. That's it.
And how much do you drink on those 3 days, if you had to add it up?
A pint of lager, 3 point, whatever it is.
3 units for a pint of lager.
3 units, yeah.
How many of those do you have a day?
On a good day, I could go 20 pint and still walk home.
20 pints? So if we added 20 pints up at 3 units a pint...
Oh, I know, the doctor's
3,
done
6,
it.
9, 12, 15...
The doctor's done it.
It's a lot, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but, you know, and some days I will come out and have just 2 pints and I had enough and I go home.
How old are you, sir?
66.
Do you enjoy a drink?
Yeah, I love it, yeah. It's social. I'll come out, 3-4 times a week. Yeah. 4 or 5 pints, maybe 6. There's something special going on. That's it.
So say you go out 3 or 4 times a week, times that by 6 pints, that's 24 pints roughly in total a week. Times that by 3 units a pint, and that's 72 units.
Yeah.
Now, 21 units is the recommended daily allowance for a man of your age. Does that worry you?
No, absolutely not at all. You know, units are a new thing. Someone's invented them. They've created them out of airy-fairy land. You know, we never had units when I was growing up, having my first pint. You know, it's kind of, yeah, all right, you can manage half a pint, and that was it. You know, that's your age you were.
Did that woman say 20 pints a day? 20 pints a day? That's incredible. Even at my... I don't drink anymore, but even at the peak of my drinking athleticism, 20 pints a day. Find that incredible. We've got some more reports coming up later on. And Sophie has been talking to a lot of people, and we will attempt to unravel the truth behind the over 65-year-old drinkers in the three counties. Also in the show, we're hearing from Age Concern, a doctor, and I'd like to hear from you. Did you listen to that report just then and think, yeah, and? Is that all? Is that all they're drinking? 08459 455 555. I think the question here is, are you over 65? How much do you drink? It's two questions. Bear with me. Just give us a call, 08459 455 555, and just let us know how much you drink. Not going to judge you. There's no judgment in this at all. I think it's just interesting and revealing. So if you're over 65, just tot up how much you normally drink in a week, in a day, how much you drank last night, and give me a call, 08459 455 555. Or you can text 81333, start your text 3CR. Oh, this is good. The Detroit Emeralds, feel the need. I'll have some of this. Hopefully speak to you after this. That'll do, won't it? Detroit Emeralds. Feel the need. I'll have some of that. Yes, please. Good morning. This is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio. Here until 9 o'clock. And this morning, I'm asking for a little bit of honesty from you this morning. If you're over 65, I'm keen to find out how much you drink. Well, there's a new report out, or some investigative work by the BBC that has shown that it's actually over 65s that are more at risk from drinking problems than younger people. Now, quite often when you read the newspapers, it's always binge drink Britain, the youth of today. It's all of that nonsense. I don't think that's changed. I remember sitting in a park when I was 14, drinking a bottle of Thunderbird. Has anything really changed in that respect? I think the shocking thing here is that it's being reported that older people are perhaps those that are struggling with alcohol-related problems. And part of it is the accumulative effect of a lifetime of drinking. But give me a call. If you're over 65, just sit down for a second and tot up how much you drink in a week. And be honest. How much you drank last night? And then give me a call. 08459 455 555. No judgment. I'm just curious. And curious to find out why. Why you... If you were listening 10 minutes ago, we had an interview with a lady who says she can drink 20 pints a day. 20 pints! And she would walk home. How can you function after 20 pints? That seems incredible. And obviously she's built up tolerance over time and, has made it so that she can function after that. But that is shocking to me. Maybe it's not shocking to you. Maybe it's your husband or your wife or your mum or your dad that drinks, perhaps excessively. And they've been doing it for a long time. And no one's really asked any questions about it. This morning, on the Iain Lee Show, I'm asking for your honest answers. If you're over 65, if you have someone in your life who is over 65, how much do you drink? 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. No judgment on my part. I'm curious. I'd like to talk to you about it. 08459 455 555. These are your headlines on Friday the 7th September on BBC Three Counties Radio. More pensioners were admitted to hospital with alcohol-related injuries and illnesses than 16 to 24-year-olds last year, according to figures compiled by the BBC's Panorama programme. French police want to question as soon as possible the 4-year-old British girl who survived a shooting which killed her parents and grandmother on Wednesday. In sport, it was a golden night for Great Britain's Paralympic team at the Olympic Stadium last night, with wins for sprinter Johnny Peacock and wheelchair racers David Weir and Hannah Cockcroft. We'll have a weather bulletin in a few minutes with Steve Weston, and coming up, a reporter has smelt something bad. Find out what that is in a few minutes.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's the Lars, There She Goes. Do you know what this song is actually about? It sounds all romantic and lovely. It's about something very naughty, actually. But let's not put that off. Let that put us off what is one of the best pop songs of all time. What a song! He said, talking over the end of it, thereby pretty much ruining it. The Lars, There She Goes. Good morning, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties. I'm sorry if I get a little bit grumpy today. I keep saying this. My back is killing me. If someone wants to come in and click my back, are we allowed to do that on the BBC? Punt for someone to come and click the presenter's back? I've not read the guidelines on back fixing. I just should have. I got sent the module. I didn't actually have time to have a look at it. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. And we are talking this morning, amongst other things, about elderly people, older people, and the amount they drink after a BBC Panorama programme, which I think is airing on Monday, has shown that actually more people over 65 are being admitted to hospital with alcohol-related problems, conditions, than younger people, and it's certainly more than perhaps you think it is. And I just want to ask today, without any judgment at all, if you're over 65, how much do you drink? Do you think it's a problem, the amount you drink? It might not be for you. You know, we're all different. We've all got different bodies. We all function differently. How much do you drink? 08459 455 555. Give me a call. Let me know. Maybe it's your husband or your wife, or it's your mum or your dad, and they've got the problem, or they drink excessively, what you perceive to be excessively. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call. Is weather there? We're waiting for the weather. We're waiting for Steve Weston to log in so we can find out what's happening in the world around you in the terms of weather. You can give us a text as well, 81333. Start your text 3CR. There we go. I may have just had my microphone up there, which would have been very embarrassing. If anything came out there you weren't meant to hear, then apologies for that. Now, there's nothing worse than the bad smell coming through your car window on a hot day. And only this week, we told you about residents in Milton Keynes holding their noses due to farmers' muck spreading. Well, it seems that's not the only place causing people to get out the clothes peg. If you've been driving along the A6 Barton Road in Luton this week, have you noticed a funny smell? Well, our reporter, Justin, is always one to sniff out a good story. He's on the way there this morning. Justin, we give you all the glamour jobs, don't we?
Morning, Ian. By the way, I'm not giving you a back rub. Yes, I do get some very glamorous jobs, but this morning not too glamorous. But of course, this is a mystery. What or what isn't this smell here on the Barton Road in Luton?
Can you smell? Are you there yet?
I am. I'm here right now. I have to be completely honest with you. As I sniff. We love to sniff out a good story at the BBC.
Well done.
I can. Yeah, thank you. I can't really smell anything. However, a few years ago, Ian, we're going back about 4 years ago, we had a very similar story, and the council said to us it was anti-skid resurfacing. So we thought we'd put two and two together.
Yep.
We thought it could be the same thing. We spoke to the council. They say no. That is not the case. They haven't been laying down this anti-skid resurfacing work again. So I have been speaking to locals here. Just a few moments ago, I've been talking to Mary, and she lives just off the Barton Road. Here's Mary, who smells absolutely delightful this morning.
Yes. I've got to go on the bus, haven't I?
You smell very nice for the bus, I must admit.
Yeah.
So in this area then, over the last couple of weeks or so, have you noticed a horrible smell in this area?
The last couple of weeks, yes, but it was from his fence there, from the Creasuit fence.
So you think it might be the fence that's causing the smell?
That was 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I haven't smelt anything else other than that, but it could be anything. It could be the drains, it could be the brickwork that's in Bedford. Sometimes you do get a smell, but you know the smell of the brick, the dust, and that. So, could be anything.
Well, let's just do a brief experiment
I've
here.
got to go, sorry.
Just very, very quickly with me. Take a deep breath in. Does it smell this morning?
No.
So this morning it's fine. It's
but
not just me.
depending on how windy it is. It's not windy this morning, so you wouldn't get a smell when it's windy, because it depends on what way the wind is blowing. But I haven't heard anybody yet. But of course I go to work all day, so I don't know what goes on around here.
Mary, enjoy the bus ride. Thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend. You look wonderful, by the way.
Thank you. I'll think about you if I miss me bus.
Ian, she will be thinking of me as well. She'll be after me this morning. But we have got...
No, Justin, I'm sorry. that was brilliant. You asked a question. I'm sorry, I've got to go. I'm not interested in talking to you in the slightest.
Come on, just one deep breath. That's all it takes. So Mary's saying, no, it could be somebody's fence. However, I've just been into the BP petrol station here, which is on Barton Road, directly where this roundabout is.
Yep.
And here's one more for you. I spoke to Paula, and she reckons that she's cracked this. Take a listen to this. Now, Paula, you think you've cracked this. What do you think the smell is? Because you're saying there is a smell here.
It's the drains from outside, from around the area. It's normally down the Birdsfoot Lane area, just outside.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad has it been recently?
I'd say about an 8.
About an 8? Really, that bad?
About an 8. Especially in the warm weather, you can actually smell it, and it goes all the way along.
Because this morning it doesn't really smell. That's because it's still quite mild, but later on it will start smelling again.
Yeah, a few months ago we had, when you were coming along the Barton Road, you could really smell it really strong. And that is because of the drains.
So, there you go. We think we have an answer. Luton Borough Council, of course, they may dispute that, but according to Paula there has been a bad smell. Quite a high scale as well, out of 10 there.
8 out of 10. That's a stinky smell, isn't it?
That's a very, very big smell, and she's saying it's the drain. So, that's what we think this smell is, but of course, if anybody else has got any ideas, please let us know.
Justin, when you were a young lad hoping to break into radio, did you ever think that you would be sitting in Luton trying to get smells?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm glad that's worked out nicely for you. So, first of all, just tell us exactly where you are and where this smell is.
I'm on the Barton Road, which is in Luton, and I'm pretty much outside the BP petrol station.
Okay.
So you can't miss it. That's where I am this morning.
So there are a few things here. Well, first of all, if you live near that area, if you drive through that area regularly, have you noticed the smell, and how bad is it? I think that's what we want to know.
That's the key thing.
And another thing, Justin, I'm keen to set you on a mission. I think you have it too easy, sat in your posh car, eating your sandwiches. I saw your flask today, full of fresh tea.
Oh,
no. You're not getting away with it. If you're listening to this, dear listener, and put your head out of the window, have a sniff. What can you smell? If you're in the Three Counties area, I want to find the worst smell in Three Counties. Give us a call. 08459 455 555. Tell us where the worst smell is in the Three Counties. And Justin, you're going to track down that smell.
Not a problem to me. I like bad smells. You see, my partner, she will refuse to come shopping with me.
She stinks.
Do you know what?
She's horrible.
She doesn't. She smells nice, but I like going to second-hand record shops. I love it.
Oh.
And when you walk in there, it smells horrendous, but to me, that smell is beautiful.
Do you know what? I bought a book off eBay, really old book, and I was sat on the train the other day reading it, and I thought, I bet this smells nice. And in front of everyone, I didn't care. Yeah. I opened it, picked it up, and took a big sniff. It smelled good.
Exactly. History smells good.
I've got a record from 1969 that is sealed. And one day, when I'm really bored, I'm going to open that ceiling and I'm going to take a sniff of 1969 and I'm going to tell you what it smelled like.
That's Engelbert Humperdinck, isn't it?
You know it is.
Yeah.
Justin, we will get people to call in and we will send you off on a mission. Thank
Lovely.
you, sir.
Thank you.
There we go. It's Justin Dealey. If there's a smell near you that is particularly bad, 08459 455 555. Tell us what you think it is, where it is, and we will send Justin off to that. On the converse, what's the best smell? I tell you the best smell. It's freshly mown grass, without a shadow of a doubt.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Simon. Coming up in the next half hour, more on this story about older people with drinking problems. And there is an award-winning mound in Milton Keynes. I know, controversial. You can give me a call on any of these subjects. 08459 455 555. You can text 81333. Start your text 3CR. Here's them Bee Gees. I just need someone to walk on my back. I don't mean that in any kind of sexual way. Do you know, I think if someone just kind of stood on the lower right-hand side of my back, it might just, give it that click that it needs. Anyone? No one? Disappointing. It's the Bee Gees. You win again. You know that. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties. Good morning. It's 6:36. Now, when you think of those with a drink problem, who do you imagine? Young teenagers out on a weekend or someone completely different? Well, have a listen to this.
I've learned how much I drink, which has come as a surprise. I'm a steady, regular social drinker. I'm told on every hand that that's perfectly acceptable, but then I'm told by experts that actually there's a tipping point, and I could be quite near it, in which my drinking and that of other people's becomes quite serious. I've also learned that people don't understand the guidelines. I don't understand the guidelines. My friends don't understand the guidelines. We all hope it means that we can drink as much as we'd like to. But they're very severe, and they're often quite contradictory, and I'm not sure whether they shouldn't be revised.
That was TV presenter Joan Bakewell, who is 79. Now, she's presenting the Panorama documentary on Monday night, which has found that more over 65s have alcohol-related problems than 25-year-olds last year. They found that pensioners are more likely to drink every day, drink at home, and drink alone than any other age group. Barbara's 73 years old. She says her drinking spiralled after her husband's death.
I was very, very depressed, very sad, bereft really, I suppose, and I began to drink when he was ill to try and calm myself and to soothe myself. So I used to just drink and drink, yes.
Chris Ponder is a former university lecturer. He says alcohol was a comfort after his early retirement and social isolation were behind his slide into addiction. At his worst, get this, he was drinking more than a bottle of vodka a day.
Obliteration. It was far easier just to drink a couple of slugs of vodka and turn the television on. If it was raining, that was a good excuse not to go out.
Wow. Listen, I know alcoholics, and it can be a few beers, it can be 2 bottles of vodka. It doesn't matter. It's whatever your problem is. You can find out more about these stories on Monday on Panorama, 8:30, BBC One. And after 7 on this show this morning, you can hear how elderly people in the 3 counties are struggling, like this woman.
How many times a day do you have a drink?
3 days in the week, that's it.
And how much do you drink on those 3 days, if you had to add it up?
A pint of lager, 3 point, whatever it is.
3 units for a pint of lager.
3 units, yeah.
How many of those do you have a day?
On a good day, I could go 20 pints and still walk home.
20 pints and still walk home? I'm saying that not out of any form of judgment. Hey, listen, we've all got things that get us through the night. But that does seem like a huge amount, doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't to you. Maybe you're thinking 20 pints. But is that all? I'm asking for your honesty this morning, dear listener, and there is no judgment from me whatsoever. I'm just curious. If you're over 65... or thereabouts, how much do you drink on a daily basis? How much did you have last night? Or how much would you have in a week? Normally, on average. Give me a call and let me know. 08459 455 555. Or maybe it's your parents, or your friend, or your brother, or your sister, or your husband, or your wife. Again, it's not just men. There's a really high number of women affected by this. Give me a call and be honest about this. And we'll see what the situation is. 08459 455 555. You can give me a text as well, 81333. If you start your text 3CR. And if you email 3cr@bbc.co.uk. And also, don't forget, Justin Dealey is out and about. We're looking for the smells in the 3 counties. He's found a stinky bit of road in Luton. I'm saying nothing. But stick your head out your window. What can you smell? Have a deep sniff. 20 to 7 in the morning. Go on. Or maybe it's somewhere where you work. Maybe it's a shop. My sister, years ago, used to live above a chip shop. And she thought it was really cool. It was when she was a student. Hey, this is cool. We've moved above a chip shop. Yeah. After being there for a week, everything in her house stank of oil. All of her clothes. It was awful when she came back for weekends. Could you just go, oh, my God, Joe, you smell awful. So let's see if we can find the stinkiest places in the 3 counties area. 08459 455 555. You can text me 81333. Start your text 3CR. You can email 3cr@bbc.co.uk. Let's have a look at some of the front pages of the newspapers as well this morning, shall we? Now, the majority of newspapers are covering this incredible, tragic story in France. But fascinating, isn't it? I mean, it's just the saddest thing. But it's fascinating. Family feud may have led to executions in the Alps. That's the front page of the Telegraph. A British family murdered during a holiday in France may have been the victims of a contract killing triggered by a family feud, investigators believe. I'm not quite sure how they know that. And also, Osborne is positive as growth forecast cut. Okie dokie. The Guardian. Girl left... This is another amazing part of this story. Girl left for 8 hours in car with murdered family. Now, the French police have said, well, you know, we couldn't go in the car because we had to get the trajectory of bullets, and there was a 4-year-old girl left under her dead mother for 8 hours. Sorry to put that horrific image in your head, but you kind of think... Just amazing. 100-metre gold for Peacock as GB passes medal target as well, the Guardian. This is the celebrations at the Paralympics as we have exceeded. Yeah, like I had anything to do with it. Yeah, of course. We have exceeded the Paralympic medals target. The Times girl 4 may hold vital clues to shooting a British family. Survivor lay hidden for 8 hours. The Independent, a British family on holiday. An Iraqi connection. 4 dead, 2 children under police guard. The horror and mystery of these killings. These are all pretty much the front pages. It's not the cheeriest story in the world to wake up to, is it? The Daily Mail, executed. And on a lighter note, I think we should try and get something a little bit lighter, shouldn't we? They're offering a free £25 portrait of your pet. I've got a cat. I love my cat. She's the best thing in the world. A portrait? I'm not convinced. I've got a camera. I'll take a photograph and remember her like that. The Daily Express, British family were executed, and Julie Goodyear exclusive. We were talking about her yesterday getting booted out of the Big Brother house. It's the final tonight, isn't it? Tonight, is it Friday? Yes, it's the final. The Daily Mirror, I'm scared. 4 executed in the Alps. I mean, it's all the front pages, and the Sun has got the same story. It's just, it's an horrific story. And if you've got kids, isn't it funny when you get kids, suddenly cynicism drops. It did for me anyway, and I was the most cynical person in the world. And just anything that involves kids, your heart goes out. My family have been away for a week. I get to pick them up from Gatwick today. Oh, I'm well excited. I know I'm going to get the best hug in the world from my 2.5-year-old. It's going to be fantastic. And then I'll ask where the milk is. Dada, you said there'd be milk. Well. Dave in Luton. Iain, your back problem, sort it out now. I had a back problem in 1982. Now, 30 years later, and head to toe is a mess. I will get it sorted out. I know how these things can go on and on and on. And mine kind of comes and goes. I go and see an osteopath. He does a little bit of magic. That sorts it out. So it will be all right. But Dave, man alive. It's Friday the 7th September. These are your headlines this morning on BBC Three Counties Radio. More over 65s have alcohol-related problems than any other age group. French police are hoping to question the 4-year-old British girl who survived the gun attack which killed her family on Wednesday. In sport, a golden night for Paralympics GB with wins in men's sprinting and the wheelchair races. Weather, a dry day with long spells of hazy sunshine. Maximum temperature is 24 degrees. Oh, that's quite nice. And coming up, do you hate noise pollution? Our reporter has the details on a sound barrier in the Three Counties that's got everybody's talking. A new song has been added to the Three Counties playlist this week, courtesy of our BBC Introducing show, which, if you've not heard, is cracking. Introducing supports the bands and musicians from the Three Counties, like Charmaine D. She's a 14-year-old singer-songwriter from Stevenage. She's 14 and she's got a song on the radio. Not sure how I feel about that. This is her track. It's called Stains. You can hear it all week on Three Counties. Charmaine D. Stains. She's 14 years old. I'd give that an 8 out of 10. What a cracking voice. Now, have a listen to this. Listening? Can you hear anything? Anything at all? That sounds quite nice and peaceful, doesn't it? I like that. Well, would you believe that's the sound from a housing estate in Milton Keynes, right next to the M1? Residents near Junction 14 are praising an award-winning mound. Yeah, you heard me right. An award-winning mound called Brooklands Ridge for successfully blocking out the motorway noise. The ridge will eventually be 1.5 miles long and run alongside a future development of 2,500 homes. Our reporter Jessica Cooper has been up to the top with Simon Alcock, the project director for the Places for People development at Brooklands.
Simon, we are just a stone's throw away from the M1, but you wouldn't really know it considering how quiet it is here. Just explain which part of the development we're on at the moment.
We're in the northern part of the development, so the area closest to Junction 14. So as a site, this is a prime location for us because of the ease of transport and connections into central Milton Keynes. How did you decide to build on this site? Because obviously it is very close to the M1 and most people don't necessarily want to live with a motorway in their back garden. Building close to the motorway obviously does present some challenges. Clearly the first of those is noise and obviously the visual impact as well. What we elected to do was to put a large earth bund between the site and the motorway to screen out the noise. What the bund does is it actually provides not only noise attenuation from the motorway, and as you can hear, you can't hear the traffic at all, but it also provides environmental benefits as well, and also leisure opportunities. It's over 3.5 kilometres long, it's over 10 metres high and about 75 metres wide. So in terms of the volume of material that's going into that, that's probably about 10 times the volume of Milton Keynes Dons Stadium, or 1 million cubic metres.
So, John, you live on Brooklyn's development. I can see the ridge from your front door, so you're just the other side of the M1.
Yeah.
Do you hear the traffic?
No, not at all.
So what do you think of the ridge then?
I like the ridge. I think it's beautiful. On Saturday we walked up onto the ridge and we like sitting watching the cars going up and down on the motorway and the lorries and the buses.
Well, to be honest, I can't hear nothing at all. I mean, you can barely hear it on a quiet day, and once all the trees and that have grown, you're not going to hear anything at all. So it does its job.
When you were moving here, were you consciously thinking about living very near to the M1, and was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, obviously it's a bad thing, but then once you move here and see the area, you realise it's not what you think it's going to be. It's nice and quiet. It's a nice area. You're
house sitting here at the moment on the Brooklands estate, but you also live near the motorway in Newport Pagnell. So how do you notice the sound levels are different?
Certainly in Newport Pagnell it seems to be a lot noisier there. I think there's only boarding put up, which is supposed to reflect the sound into the middle of the estate. Here, it's a lot more quieter with the mounds at the back there. I think the only time you do hear it excessively is when it's raining.
Well, we've made it to the top, and it's quite a distinctive change, really. Even when you're just coming to the top of the ridge, you still can't hear the traffic until the very, very top.
That's right, that last metre makes such a difference, doesn't it? The minute you crest the ridge, you really do hear the noise from the motorway.
If you're looking down the ridge, pretty much extends into the distance, and that's what you're working on at the moment, extending it further.
That's right, we've completed about half of the ridge, that's all landscaped, and we've now got the other half of the ridge that we're working on. We're anticipating finishing that back end of next year.
For drivers coming along northbound on the M1, about to get off at junction 14, they're also going to be giving a little helping hand from the ridge here. How does that work?
Well, we've used the colours of the plants to actually create stripes and chevrons along the side of the ridge, so it really guides the drivers off of the motorway and into Milton Keynes.
An award-winning mound, dear listener. Who'd have thunk it? Now, this morning, we are sending Justin out to find the smelliest places in the 3 counties. I know, listen, he gets it too easy, that boy. He gets it far too easy. While I'm here, I'm going to make him work for his £5 an hour. So if you're living somewhere, or you travel through a smell every day, or you just there's somewhere near you that's a bit stinky, could you give us a call? 08459 455 555 and let us know what it is. Or text us 81333. Start your text 3CR. Chris drives past a stink every day. Chris, whereabouts are you?
Hello there. I've just passed junction 14, heading towards junction 13 now, going south.
Okay, this is on the M1. And what are you smelling?
Well, it smells like raw sewage. I'm not sure whether they're sort of muck spreading, over the last few months, but it's been there for quite some time.
Well, I think that Helen may have mentioned this last week. I think that it's an organic farm. And I don't know why organic farms are stinkier than normal farms, but apparently, I guess is organic poo stinkier than normal poo?
Well, I would imagine so. I think organic stuff breaks down, doesn't it? And you get the sort of heat up of the stuff, and it smells a lot.
Oh, so is it really, really bad, Chris?
Well, I mean, I'm transient. I mean, I sort of get a double whammy, really. I go down in the morning and come back in the evening, and it's still there. I pity the people that live around that area, to be honest with you.
It doesn't sound fun. Chris, listen, thank you for that. If you're near a smell, 08459 455 555, or text us 81333. Start your text 3CR. Here's the Noisettes, that girl, I like this is good. Oscar Pistorius is lost again to a Brit. It's so plain to see. Johnny Peacock. I've never heard of him before, I'm happy to have heard of him now. won a gold medal in the 100 metres at the Paralympics yesterday. Pistorius came fourth. What did he do then? Go on Facebook and have a cry? Oh, no, did he go on MySpace and start whinging that everyone was cheating? No, because this was a legitimate race, as was the last one, and you were beaten, Oscar Pistorius. So stop, getting so high and mighty. Well done, Johnny Peacock. Fantastic stuff. And then there's a picture in the Independent of a fella doing archery with his feet. Just think about that for a second. Man alive. That's incredible, isn't it? Good morning, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up in the next hour. You can give us a call, 08459 455 555. Hopefully we'll speak to you after the latest news with Simon Oxley. This is Iain Lee. It's 3 minutes past 7. This is BBC Three Counties Radio. Lots coming up in the next hour. Oh, it's packed. We'll be finding out why so many pensioners in the three counties drink too much. We've heard the stats, and we'll take your personal stories. I'll give the phone number out in a second. Freddie Flintoff swaps cricket for boxing. I'll try and find out why top sportsmen just can't stop competing. And Little Mix are number one. I believe they're a pop group. So I'm told. Leanne from the band is a local girl, so we'll have a chat with the family about her success. You can give me a call on that or any of the stories that we're talking about this morning. 08459 455 555. You can text 81333, starting your text 3CR, or you can email 3cr@bbc.co.uk.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, this is what we've been hearing about older people's drinking in the three counties.
How many times a day do you have a drink?
3 days in the week. That's it.
And how much do you drink on those 3 days if you had to add it up?
That's a pint of lager, 3 point, whatever it is.
3 units for a pint of lager.
3 units, yeah.
How many of those do you have a day?
On a good day, I could go 20 pint and still walk home.
Wow. Well, the reason that we're talking about this is a Panorama investigation. It showed people over 65 are more likely to drink every day, and they're more likely to drink at home on their own than any other age group. Three Counties reporter Sophie Soleri has been asking pensioners how much they're drinking.
I don't drink an awful lot, not every day. Perhaps when I do shopping and come out, I could say I probably have about 4.
4 glasses of wine?
Wine and lemonade, yes.
OK. Why do you like to have a drink?
Well, because I'm out doing something and really want to enjoy myself.
Yeah. And why do you think that older people are drinking more?
Well, I think you can find friends, going have a laugh and doing things rather than sitting on your own indoors or what. But not getting drunk or silly, just enjoy yourself.
So it's not about getting drunk, it's more about socialising when you get to this age?
Precisely, yeah.
And if we totted up your alcohol units, would you say that you drank more than you were allowed to at 60?
Well, I must do, because if I have like about 4 on a Sunday.
A bottle, yeah, OK, so that's 12 units, and then a couple through the week, so you're probably pushing the limit and you don't even realise.
No, probably, yeah.
It's surprising, isn't it, when you tot it up?
Yes, it is actually, yeah.
Well, Colette McKeveney is the Director of Age Concern in Luton, and she joins me now. Good morning, Colette.
Good morning.
Oh, I should probably turn your microphone on. That would help things. There we go. It's only my second day in the job. I'm allowed to be a bit rubbish for another week, I think.
Oh, I see. Well, good morning, Iain, anyway.
Good morning. Colette, have you noticed a rise in pensioners' alcohol intake?
I think, actually, for a long time we've been noticing a rise. Way back in 2002, Age Concern did some studies on this. And we identified a bunch of major triggers. And the question is really, how much progress have we made on that?
Well, let's talk about the triggers first. What are the key points that perhaps set someone off?
Well, interestingly, in your interview, one of them actually came up straight away, and that's being lonely. A lot of social life takes place around pubs and alcohol, and it's hard, even for younger people, to go out and actually avoid the alcohol if you're trying to meet people. But equally, the reverse is true, being depressed and lonely at home and, giving up driving. So you feel it's okay to have a drink because you don't have to drive, so why not? And if you're depressed, your best friend can be the bottle if you haven't got anybody to actually talk to. So, it's a vicious circle of being lonely at home.
Of course, the ironic thing is that the alcohol is a depressant, so if you're depressed, that's the last thing you want to have. But you don't always think like that.
No, and let's be honest, if you stay fairly drunk, you probably don't know that you're actually depressed, or at least if you're depressed, you feel that you can express it when you've had a drink.
Do you think that these older people realise that they potentially have a problem?
Well, our study in 2002 and another one in 2006, which was very respected by an organisation called Alcohol Academy, actually said that they underestimate it, because points don't speak to people. Most people struggle, and in fact in the interviews that came across, people didn't really know what a point was, how many points you allowed and how often and so on and so forth. So the whole point system makes it complicated. Why can't they just say 4 glasses of wine? Or
well, because then it's the size of the glass, isn't it? That's the thing, because you go into some pubs and it's a huge glass, you go into other ones, it's a tiny little glass.
Yeah.
So it is.
But there's these words we've got, like big, small, and large.
Well, yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought of that. But you're right. Unit is what is that? That's a meaningless.
Absolutely.
Term
and
to
so
most
people can easily underestimate what they're drinking or eating. I mean, it's kind of the same concept with people that are overeating. They often seriously underestimate how much they're eating.
So Age Concern have been aware about this for a long time, and we're talking about this because of the Panorama programme that's on Monday. But you've been aware about this, you say, for about 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the big difficulties. I mean, it's not a secret. This has been around for a long time. People have noticed that, sort of obviously the stats are out there. We know that if older people do drink too much and fall, they're likely to end up in hospital much more than a teenager who can kind of pick himself up and his bones are still strong. And, although they can do injury and it's not to be recommended, certainly an older body can take knocks less well, generally speaking.
What can we do to help them? That sounds a bit patronising, but to help the situation, I guess.
No, that's a really good question. I mean, we identified a number of things that we'd like to see happen, and among those are really for when people present with health problems, when they're going to the doctor, you need to be looking at the whole person. And many very good doctors do this, but it's kind of the way GPs' appointments are set up. It's difficult sometimes to give the time that people need. So they might come down saying about their dodgy shoulder, but actually it's much more complex than that. It's the fact they've been bereaved, or they're in a lot of pain, or the pain medications aren't working properly. So GP screening, I think, at the initial interview would be pretty good. Other health professionals, social workers and so forth, coming into touch with older people. Families being a bit conscious. If Gran always seems to think that it's medicinal to have a brandy every time you're around, or she gets the sherry out the minute the family turn up, or you suspect she's, the 5 bottles of sherry she's asking you to buy in each week are not all for friends that are coming round, then, maybe it's the sort of thing you might want to tackle with people.
I'm smiling at that. But that's the serious point of it, isn't it?
Exactly.
But is it? This is so difficult. Is it part of the generation that they grew up in that was more socially acceptable to have a little drink of poos at home?
Absolutely. I mean, sort of when I was a kid, drink driving wasn't even considered that bad. And in fact, I watched a comedy the other night, Yes Minister, where the ministers drink driving.
Wow.
And actually, nowadays that would just be so horrific.
Yeah.
In then, it was kind of making the tabloids, but it was actually still fairly standard,
I remember being at school and my English teacher, Mrs. well, I won't say her name, but she was telling us about, it was common for her friends to go drink driving when they were younger.
Well, that's how you got back to the pub, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's possibly too late to re-educate these elderly people, is it?
Well, there's more to it than that. I mean, there's a few simple things that everybody can do. Number one, I think, we found in our study, Alcohol Academy found in theirs, and it'll be interesting to see the Panorama programme, was loneliness and social isolation. We need community-based projects. We need people involved in their families, if they haven't got families involved in their communities. We need good support around bereavement, because that's often a trigger for people becoming lonely, or, a bad diagnosis. I've got this horrible illness, so what does it matter if I drink myself to death anyway? So, kind of support for people whenever they get these sort of big situations in life. Making sure people have got transport to get out and about, sort of they can do things. And actually looking at the way that we actually organise social life is kind of important as well. Obviously the government intending to make drinking very expensive. So I think people drinking at home, they'll be more tempted to stay at home and drink. So I actually see that actually problem drinking being masked in the community could be a bigger problem.
Whenever I have done a story or heard a story about older people, there's the person always says, well, just why don't you go and knock on an elderly person's door if there's someone in your street who's older and lives on their own. They don't want that, do they, though? They're like, go away, I'm enjoying being on my own, I don't want you bothering me.
Well, no, they might. I mean, the point is you don't know. But, I mean,
right.
Would you appreciate any random stranger? Sometimes it's a question of sort of, having a bit of a relationship built up. Maybe if you've been saying hello every morning for the past 4 or 5 weeks, maybe if you've exchanged Christmas cards, or you've got some sort of lead-in. But I think a do-gooder just knocking on most people's doors would be fairly scary, for most of us. I mean, there is a big thing that everybody can do, and I think this is something we just need as a society to watch out for.
Yes.
People staying involved and having someone to talk to is the biggest preventative factor. Over and above everything else, in looking after yourself and staying well, and that includes the alcohol issue.
Colette, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Hopefully this chat this morning and the programme on Monday will raise some sort of awareness about the situation.
I do hope so. I mean, as I say, at the end of the day, there are some very simple and basic recommendations that can be put in place. If people do have problems, there is advice and support out there. So do ring us at Age Concern, talk to people about alcohol use, and there's many resources in the library that you might want to pick up.
Fantastic. Colette McKeveney, Director of Age Concern in Luton. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
You've heard that story. Has it affected you at all? Are you an older person? 65 and over. How much do you drink? I'm looking for you to be honest this morning. If you give me a call, 08459 455 555, and to try and be honest. I'm not going to judge you. There's no judgment here. There's nothing like that at all. I just want to know, how much do you drink? And do you think it's a problem? Because I'm guessing that you probably don't. You're probably not aware that perhaps, drinking those 10 pints a night. We had the lady on the clip earlier who says she occasionally drinks 20 pints a day and manages to walk home. I don't know how you could function on any decent level after 20 pints a day. That makes no sense to me at all, but obviously she's built up the tolerance. Just have a think. Just tot up how much you normally have on a Friday night, or how much you have a week, or maybe it's your husband or your wife or your mum or your dad or your gran or your grandma. And just give me a call and let me know. 08459 455 555. You can text as well, 81333. Start your text 3CR, or you can email 3cr at bbc.co.uk. Good morning, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio. These are your headlines on Friday the 7th of September. More over 65s have alcohol-related problems than any other age group. French police are hoping to question the 4-year-old British girl who survived the gun attack which killed her family on Wednesday. In sport, a golden night for Paralympics GB with wins in men's sprinting and the wheelchair races. We'll have a full weather bulletin in a minute with Steve Weston. And coming up, have you ever had a dramatic career change? One famous sporting star has gone from cricket to boxing? Really? Find out more. You can give me a call, 08459 455 555, or you can text 81333. Start your text 3CR.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Take a moment and have a little sniff. Is there something nasty in the air? Have a little ponder. We are trying to find the worst smell in the Three Counties. Last week, residents in Milton Keynes were left holding their noses due to farmers' muck spreading, and we've had reports of a pong on the A6 Barton Road in Luton. Our reporter Justin is investigating. Good morning, Justin.
Hello, Ian.
You get all the Listen, this is the new regime. While I'm here, you're going off on some pretty rotten jobs, OK?
Oh, that's fine by me.
You've had it good lad. I know you won't mind. So tell me exactly where you are.
I'm on the Barton Road in Luton, just outside the BP petrol station, and people have been complaining, some people have been complaining, saying there's a smell. We spoke to Mary earlier on, who I just thought was wonderful. She thought it might have been her neighbour, because he's been creosoting his fence recently. I think it's a bit more serious than that, because some people are saying that when it warms up, there is a horrendous smell here. Some people blaming the drain system. Now, a few moments ago, I spoke to somebody called Iain. Terribly common name, that.
Oh, dear.
But, yes, but here's what Iain had to say about the smell here on the Barton Road in Luton. Iain, have you noticed the bad smell here recently?
No.
But you think it might be something to do with what happened a few years ago. Tell us more about that.
Yes, well, the road was resurfaced at the top of Birdsfoot Lane with anti-skid material, and that did smell for quite a long while. Yeah.
So you think it might have actually come back every now and again?
Occasionally you do get a little whiff of it, yes. Yeah.
So, with me right now, take a deep breath. What can you smell?
Fresh air.
So this morning, clearly not a problem. No. And you're a man who's got a plaque in his hand. Not many men are walking around at this time of the morning with a plaque in their hand.
That is true.
What's this plaque all about, then?
This is a plaque to commemorate the planting of the Diamond Jubilee Oak at Warden Hill Junior School.
So you're now off to the school?
I'm going to school to put the plaque back. It was pulled out of the ground a couple of months ago and broken. I took it home to mend it, and it's now going back where it should be.
Fantastic stuff. Have a great day. Have a great week, and hopefully the smell won't come back.
Hopefully, yeah.
So the views there of Ian, he is saying absolutely no problem here. But this is where it gets interesting, Ian, because if I'm being perfectly honest with you this morning, as I sniff right now, I can't smell anything, but that could just be me. Earlier in the first hour, we spoke to Paula, and she was saying, yes, there's a major problem here with the smell. That was when she was inside the petrol station. Well, we've now got her outside to test it, and she has taken this very seriously. Now, Paula, we spoke to you earlier on inside the petrol station, and you said the smell here can be as bad as 8 out of 10. That's pretty smelly. We've now got you outside the petrol station. How bad is it this morning?
At the moment, I would say between about 4.
That was a serious sniff there, wasn't it?
4, yeah. If you just walk...
You should work for the council.
It's around this area, and that you can smell it. So yeah, it'll be down Bursford Lane. Later on, as it warms up, then you can really smell it quite bad.
So there you go. The views of Paul are saying that later in the day, this is going to get bad. And can I just say, Ian, we have spoken to Luton Borough Council in reference to Ian's comments. He said it was this anti-skid resurfacing work which happened back in 2008. We were in contact with the council yesterday, and the council say to us, no, it's got nothing to do with that. That work was done years ago. So the mystery goes on. Paula's saying it's the drains. Again, if the council are listening, I'm sure they would like to respond to what she's had to say.
Listen, can I just say, Justin, this is Sony Gold.
I think so.
This is it. You and I. I hope someone's clipping this. Send this off to the Sony judges, because this is it, my friend. We're in the big time.
After a few beers, it will sound even better.
Justin, listen, we will keep a nose out, I guess, for any other smells that we might be sending you off to, and we'll speak to you a bit later on.
Sounds good.
Excellent stuff, Justin. There, superb. One of BBC Three Counties' greatest assets. We are asking you to call in about all kinds of things today, over 65s and their drinking habits. But I think the most important subject that we are pursuing this morning is bad smells. If you want to give us a call on that, 08459 455 555. You can text 81333. Start your text 3CR. We've had a call. It's Pauline in Bedford. Good morning, Pauline.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Oh, not too bad. I've got the day off. So...
Hey, listen, the weekend starts early, huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to the airport straight after this show to pick up my wife and kids who I haven't seen for a week. I cannot wait. I'll be sick of them by 6 o'clock this evening, I know, but I cannot wait. Bad smells, what have you got for us?
Well, not a lot of people know this.
Oh.
But farmers are using raw sewage in with their muck spreading.
Whoa, hey!
Yeah, so somebody look into it. It's true, absolute truth.
Well, hang on a minute. How do you know this is true?
Because I was down in Berkshire the other day with my sister, and I could smell it, and my sister told me that is, they looked into it, and that is what is happening with farmers. They're allowed to use raw sewage.
There are so many levels to this. Your sister looked into it, did she?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yes. They're allowed... But raw sewage...
They don't put up with things like that in Berkshire.
No, not in Berkshire. You slip into... Are you from Berkshire? Because you slip into a little Berkshire accent there.
Yes, I am.
Thought so, yes. You've got a little accent there. But that can't be allowed. Raw sewage, that...
Well, you look into it, and it's the truth.
Right. Listen, Pauline, we're going to look into that. Mm-hmm. And if it's not the truth, we're going to come round and we're going to put raw sewage on your front garden.
You'll have a job. I haven't got one.
Oh, let's go through the letterbox. Pauline, lovely to talk to you.
And you, bye.
Take care, ta-ta. We're going to look into that. We will find out. Raw sewage? Farmers, that can't be right. That can't be right, can it? Any farmers listening? Is that true? 08459 455 555. We'll have a little look into that. Now, we've all thought about a career change at times, haven't we? Do you know what? 2 years ago, I very nearly became a primary school teacher. Yeah, I know. I went to the meetings, I did a couple of days in a primary school, and then I got offered a job, and I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll stick at this for another couple of years. Well, England cricket star Freddie Flintoff is planning to become, get this, a heavyweight, not boozer, boxer. If he gets a licence from the British Boxing Board of Control, he will make his debut fight in November. Now, Freddie, who lives in Buckinghamshire, will be trained by former world featherweight champion Barry McGuigan and his son Shane. But why would someone who has the respect of millions, probably plenty of money, and a fairly easy life ahead of him, want to get their head pounded in a boxing ring? Well, to try and answer that, we've got Dr. Judith Neesby, who is a sports psychologist from the University of Hertfordshire. Good morning, Judith.
Good morning.
It's a strange one, Judith. What did you think when you heard of this?
Quite surprised. Going from cricket to boxing is quite a difference in sport there. But I think when you look into it a bit more and discover that it's for a TV series, and then he has done this kind of extreme sports in the past and tried out different things, I suppose it's not that surprising.
So this is more for a TV series as opposed to this is going to... Or could it be his new career if it goes well?
I would imagine at the age of about mid-30s to actually get into boxing, having never done it before, is going to be a huge challenge to try and overcome. I know that he's been training for the last couple of months for this fight coming up in November, and I guess it just depends on how he goes. But I don't imagine that he's going to be our next Olympic champion at boxing at Rio in 4 years' time. But
you mentioned his extreme sports. He does seem to be one of these people who constantly has to get that buzz of doing something a little bit... I mean, cricket's quite dangerous. Do you think that's in his personality and his genes, that he's like that?
I think so, and I think for a lot of elite athletes, when they come to retirement, whether it's forced retirement through injury or they've made that decision to retire perhaps after the Olympic Games, that does kind of leave a void in their lives. They spent all their lives training, they've been working hard, and that is essentially their career. So in essence, they're retiring 20 or 30 years earlier than you and I would normally do, and they need something to fill it, and their type of career involves lots of media attention, hundreds of thousands of people watching them and following them, and then suddenly they're out of that career.
It is quite striking to think, that sort of 25, 35, that's it, that's your career over. What do you do for the next 50 years?
Absolutely, and a lot of athletes, I mean, if you take footballers, for example, not to be too stereotypical, but they probably haven't got fantastic A-levels, they haven't gone on to do a university degree. So what do you do when you retire? And some of them will go into coaching, some will go into the kind of media, but there's an awful lot of them that haven't got the training behind them to go into a different career. So it's a real challenge for some of these guys.
Do these sports people that swap sports when they retire, is there ever any success? I remember years ago Daley Thompson played for Reading, I think, for a season, but he wasn't particularly good. Do they ever kind of take off in their second sporting career?
I don't think that they go to the next, the same level for their second career in sport. I mean, I think you've got some people like Van Lendl, who was incredibly successful at tennis and then moved into golf. And
did he really?
Was exceptionally good at golf.
Right.
Then you're not going to see him, at the very, very high level. They've been trained for many, many years for a particular sport, and to change that is a little bit like us to change our career. But they fill their lives with something, and it's that competitive edge. It's still to train, it's still to work hard. Judith,
thank you very much. That's Dr. Judith Neesby, who is a sports psychologist from the University of Hertfordshire. I bet there are people out there who pay good money to see Freddie Flintoff getting punched in the face. I'm sure there probably are. It's an odd one, isn't it? You do kind of think that people like him obviously have a desire to chase thrills. I don't. I have a desire to chase sitting at home, drinking coffee and watching television. That's kind of where we are very, very different in that respect. Don't forget, this morning we are looking for the smelliest places in the 3 counties. Is it near you? Could you give us a call and we'll send Justin over to have a little sniff? 08459 455 555. And also, if you're over 65 or you know someone over 65, what are your drinking habits like? 08459 455 555. You can text 81333, starting your text 3CR. Let's get the latest news headlines now with Simon Oxley. Simon, very quickly before you go, you mentioned that England have a big football game tonight. It's the World Cup is starting already. What?
Indeed it is, yeah. Maybe 2014 when the finals take place, and hopefully England will be there in Brazil. But yeah, the qualifying campaign gets underway this evening in the unlikely setting of Moldova. Moldova.
Where on earth is Moldova?
Moldova is in Eastern Europe. It's they're rated about 130th in the world, so it ought to be a relatively straightforward evening for England, but you never know.
Where are we rated in the world?
Bizarrely, in the top 4 or 5.
Really?
Despite not doing too well in tournaments in recent years, but it's based on results over the year. And yeah, we in theory we should win quite comfortably, but it's not always as simple as that.
With the success of Team GB in the Olympics, and we've seen some amazing things. I guess the pressure is on the English football team, isn't it? To
Absolutely.
look good?
Yeah, to deliver and to look good and to behave well and to do all their interviews and smile at the right times, and all that sort of thing. Everything that the Olympians and Paralympians have done and more, will be expected of the footballers. It's live on TV tonight, but people's habits are slow to change, and there will probably be more people watching the football on ITV than watching the Paralympics on Channel 4.
Simon, thank you very much there. We shall see what happens with that. There's just never a break from football. The thing is, they are under pressure, because not only do the Olympians perform well and win lots, they behaved pretty much amazingly, didn't they? They set a real standard of what sports people should behave like, how they should behave. And footballers, they get paid £250,000 a week, and they kind of act a little bit naughty most of the time.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Coming up in the show, X Factor winners, Little Mix. And number 1 in the charts. We've got Leanne from the band, is a local girl, which is exciting. We'll speak to her sister, Sarah, later on. That's good, that. I like a bit of pop. Always good to have a little bit of pop. And the Green Party conference starts today. Do you care? Less than 3% voted for them in the election. And I think maybe 20 years ago there was a relevance about them. But is there now? Really? In 2012, most of the parties seem to have adopted the Green Party, kind of the softer Green Party stuff. And if you drink every day, do you have a drink problem? Have a think about that for a second and give me a call, 08459 455 555. It's a really interesting report that our reporter Sophie has been doing in response to this Panorama programme that's airing on BBC One, which claims that over 65s are having more and more drinking-related problems than younger people. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call on that. You can text as well, 81333, start your text 3CR, and you can email 3cr@bbc.co.uk if you want to give us a call. Let's have a quick look at the front pages of some of the papers, shall we, this morning, as we have a spare moment to fill. They're pretty grim. I'm not going to go through all of them, because it's this fascinating yet horrific story that's happening in France. The Times, girl 4 may hold vital clues to shooting a British family. They're all pretty much the same story, really. The Independent, a British family on holiday, an Iraqi connection, 4 dead. They also feature Johnny Peacock, who beat Oscar Pistorius in the 100 metres and won gold. Well done him. Excellent stuff. And the rest of the papers, the Mirror is about the 4 executed in the Alps. They're calling it an execution. And this story really is just going to be deep, dark and mysterious. The Daily Mail, executed. And, of course, you can get a portrait of your pet for... it's free. Wow. People do that. I love my cat. She is the most important thing. Although, while I was away on holiday recently, for whatever reason, I won't go into detail, but I accidentally blocked her cat flap. So she couldn't get out. So she used his little boy's bedroom as her toilet. Oi, so you talk about smells. I've been scrubbing, I've been using Vanish, I've been hoovering, all kinds of things. I just cannot get rid of that smell. Any tips on getting rid of the smell of cat wee? I know, but if any tips on getting rid of the smell of cat wee in my little boy's bedroom? 08459 455 555. Now, Little Mix, the winners of last year's X Factor, have gone straight to the top of the UK charts with their single Wings. We follow Little Mix here on Three Counties, as Leanne from the band is from High Wycombe. Sarah is Leanne's sister, and she joins us right now. Morning, Sarah.
Hiya.
When did you last see Leanne? Do you get to see her now that she's a big pop star?
I see her quite often, actually, more than I expected.
Is she not protected by, like, loads of minders and management saying, I'm sorry, she's busy for the next 3 months, you can't see her until October?
Oh, no, it's not that bad.
How is she doing?
I saw her yesterday.
You saw her yesterday? How is she? Is she all right?
Yeah, she's good. She's doing really well. She's enjoying it.
Good, and I think that's the should be the key thing. Listen, being a pop star, let's be honest, don't last for long. So make the most of it while it's happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
What a journey she's on. Why do you think they won the X Factor? It was a slow favourite, a slow burn, wasn't it? Because they weren't favourites at the start.
They were actually favourite to come out the first week.
Yeah.
So I think everyone kind of wanted a band to win because the band had never won before, and there was a gap in the market for a girl group, and they all got on so well, and they were so friendly towards everyone that worked with the X Factor, so everyone kind of got behind them because everyone just loved them. And I think that kind of helped in their favour.
Now, I'm going to make a confession. I don't watch the X Factor. I know, I'm probably the only person in the country. I watched a little bit a couple of weeks ago because my friend was on, or last week, because my friend was on it, bizarrely. She was the singing fairy, and she did brilliantly. But I tend not to watch it. So did they audition as a band, or were they put together as a band?
They were actually put together as a band. They all auditioned as individuals, and they were put together.
And how did they feel about that? Because that must be a bit odd.
At first, Iain wasn't happy at all because usually bands never do well.
Yeah.
So at first she was like, "Oh, great, we'd go in the first day." But I think because she was put with girls that she actually got on with, she kind of, when she actually got together with them and they started singing, she actually kind of realised, actually, we could actually stand a chance. But at first she was a bit like, I wasn't really wanting to be in a band. But obviously it's still an opportunity for her to go further, otherwise she would have had to come home.
Yeah, of course. Now listen, it's fantastic. And also, some of the best bands in the world have been put together by a management team. You look at Take That, you look at the Monkees, all of these groups, use the manufactured word, were put together, and they made some fantastic music.
Yeah.
Does she get any input at all in the songs that the group performs and releases?
Yeah, they actually co-write in their album. So they've had a lot of input, considering, at first I don't think she kind of thought that she'd get as much input as she does.
Yeah.
But the album's very much, they're very much involved in everything, the videos, everything they're involved in.
Hey, listen, the writing's where the money is, Sarah.
Yeah.
That's where the residuals come. That's what will give her a pension in 50 years' time if she writes a hit single. Is she a millionaire? Has she got loads of money? Is she lighting cigars with £50 notes?
I wouldn't say millionaire yet, but
she's doing all right.
Maybe by next year. Yeah, she's doing all right.
Good for her. And are you a performing family? Is your mum like a singer, and do you go out and perform and do stuff?
It's actually my dad that's a performer.
Oh,
Mum
right.
wasn't very into it, but my dad was very he loves performing. He took us to stage school.
Right.
He's an actor, so he kind of got us into everything.
Has he been in anything?
He does theatre.
As my mum would say, not proper acting then. If she's not seen it on the telly, then it's not proper. Bless her. Hey, listen, Sarah, I hope she enjoys it. Being a pop star, it's every young person's dream, and I hope you get a little bit of the glory as well. Sarah, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Best of luck. There we go. Fantastic. I don't watch X Factor. I know. I do find it a little bit exploitative. I find the first few weeks when they have people on who are obviously, mentally ill, I find that uncomfortable. And then when it gets to, the last 10 weeks, I find it a bit boring. But a friend of mine was on, Melanie. She was supposed to be the singer in my band, but she's obviously probably going to get down to the last 10 in X Factor, so that's not happening. Melanie Masson, we'll get her on one day. She's good. But that's excellent. Thank you very much there. That's Sarah, who's Leanne's sister from Little Mix. Wendy is on the line. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
You're in Little Wymond. Wymond?
No, Wymondley. Little Wymondley.
Little Wymondley?
Yeah.
You just made up a word there. You just keep adding bits to it.
No, I didn't. I even spelt it to him.
Well, listen, the team I've got here, blimey. Have you got a tip for getting rid of the smell of cat wee in my little boy's room?
Yes. Vinegar and water. That's all you need.
What?
Vinegar and water.
Vinegar. I keep hearing that vinegar is the thing that can cure everything. Vinegar will get rid of the smell.
Yeah, you add sort of dilute the vinegar, but have it quite strong to begin with.
Yeah.
And then sort of just dilute it more and more. It might take a couple of days, but it will get rid, because I had a cat.
So what do? Put it in a bowl, get a cloth, and scrub it on?
Or if you've got one of those spray gun things.
Oh, we've got a spray gun thing, yeah, I like that. Yeah. Always looking for an excuse to use that.
And vinegar and water is marvellous for anything. But it does get rid of the smell. It might smell of vinegar for a couple of days. But I'd rather the smell of vinegar.
There you go. Wendy, listen, that's very kind of you. Thank you very, very much. Let's go to Paul in Kempston. Good morning, Paul.
Morning.
What have you got for us?
Talking about the smells and what they might be.
Yes.
I don't claim to be an expert, but I've got people I know are farmers and work for water treatment companies, and my understanding this time of year they've obviously done the harvesting. And since they banned stubble burning and stuff, they turn it into the soil, and they need something that helps biodigest all the stubble and stuff.
Yes.
So what they tend to do, there are companies which go to the water treatment works, and you know the big sprinklers where they go and percolate the water through for the sewage and stuff and all that.
Yeah.
What they then do is they collect and clean out those tanks and clean the sludge from that, and then they use that to spray on the ground to fertilise it for crops.
So, hang on, are you saying, because a caller called up earlier on and said that farmers are now allowed to use sewage? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's been collected from the water treatment works, you tell me.
Oh, my God, I don't want to look, we're looking behind the curtain.
It's not raw as in you pumped it into a tank straight from the toilets and you're bunging it on the land.
Right.
Because, I mean, water treatment works, they take all the muck out of it by filtering it through all the filter beds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Have you ever taken your toilet apart and have to deal with the U-bend? I've had to do that once, and it doesn't smell that bad.
I tell you what, we had a blocked drain the other week, and that smelt bad. That smelt bad, and boy, oh boy, it was, and the stuff that came out of there. No human being should ever have to see that stuff.
When nappy's involved, though.
Never put a nappy down the toilet, Paul. That's the first. Never put a nappy or a wet wipe down the toilet. There's a rule. Paul, thank you very much for that. If you want to give me a call, 08459 455 555 81333. Start your text 3CR. I feel that we are looking behind the curtain. I don't want to know that sewage is being pumped on farm land. We've got to talk to a farmer about this. This is just terrifying. Good morning, if you just tuned in. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's 7:45 on Friday the 7th September. These are your headlines. More over 65s have alcohol-related problems than any other age group. French police are hoping to question the 4-year-old British girl who survived the gun attack which killed her family on Wednesday. In sport, a golden night for Paralympics GB with wins in men's sprinting and the wheelchair races. Weather, a dry day with long spells of hazy sunshine. Maximum temperature is 24 degrees. And coming up, how do we feel about politics and how do you feel about the environment and the Green Party? We'll talk about that next. If you want to give me a call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
If he's Lord Co, does that mean she's Lady Co? Is that how that works? I'm never quite sure how these titles... Is he Lord Co, by the way, or have I just dreamt that? He probably is. I think she must be Lady Co. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give me a call at any point. Should we keep Sunday shopping hours longer? During the Olympics and Paralympics, they've been extended. And that all ends on Monday. Well, a survey seems to show that we're quite divided on this. Just under half of people want longer shopping hours on Sunday. I guess that means that just over half don't. Or maybe some are unsure. Let's talk to Danielle Pennington, who is Managing Director of Shopper Centric, a Harpenden-based retail analyst. Good morning, Danielle.
Morning.
These extra hours, these extended Sunday shopping hours during the Olympics, did they work?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because there's been a lot of reports that actually sales weren't that good during the Olympics. We didn't see the bounce that everyone was expecting. So it's quite hard to say that the additional trading has actually been a success.
There are loads of reports about London being empty. Take my word for it, London was not empty when I went down there. It was on the news. Oh, Oxford Street's empty. I went and had a look. It was as busy as normal. Does the Sunday trading laws, if they were to be relaxed permanently, do you think they will be good for business once we're out of the whole Olympic and Paralympic kind of special phase? In the long term, would they be good for business?
Again, it's a difficult one to say. As the report that you mentioned said, only half of shoppers actually say they'd be interested in shopping on a Sunday. And I think that's the issue, is yes, we like the extra flexibility, but whether we're actually going to get out and spend more is really hard to say, especially when we're all still quite pressured in terms of how much money we've got available. So will we simply be spreading the same amount of money but across more days? I'm not entirely sure that having extra hours in the shops is actually going to encourage us to spend more, which I think is really what people are hoping it will do.
It will have an impact on workers' lives, wouldn't it?
It would, absolutely, and that's the side that you don't necessarily always hear about. And not just workers, but businesses as well. If you think about the independent retailers who are really quite struggling at the moment, if the big boys, the multiples, decide, yes, we're going to have longer hours, then the independents are going to feel they've got to keep pace with that. And yet they're often one-man bands or, they're family-run businesses. And so it's putting more pressure on them to work longer or to have more staff or to ask their staff to work longer. So it's not necessarily got all benefits. There are some downsides to this as well.
Well, you say that. It sounds like it's going to be bad for the quality of life for a lot of people.
It could be, but that's the thing. For some it could be an issue, and I think for workers in particular, that's something that you do hear them talking about when this subject is raised. For some shoppers, though, those that are quite interested in it, then maybe they're the sort that have very busy lives during the week and do like the idea of being able to do their shopping on a Sunday instead of trying to cram it all on a Saturday. But then again, another sort of alternative way of looking at it isn't online all about helping us shop anytime we want to. So the Sunday trading argument, there's not a clear-cut answer to it. I think there's a lot of pros and cons coming from all sorts of angles.
It's inevitable, isn't it, that we're going to relax the trading laws? If you think back 30 years ago when everything was shut on a Sunday, surely it's the natural progression, isn't it?
It does feel like a natural progression, and I think sometimes shoppers, when they're asked, they almost think it's happened anyway, and they're slightly surprised by the debate. So maybe there's a sense that this is inevitable, but I think it needs to be handled carefully, and it needs to be a choice thing rather than everyone feeling they have to do it.
Oh, Danielle, listen, I'm supposed to be impartial. I do kind of miss the days when Sundays were special. Not for any religious reasons. It was just nice that there was a day when things were shut or only open for a couple of hours, and you had to relax. You had to sort of switch off a bit.
Yes, but that was before the days of online, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
I think a lot of people, they relax, but then they think, oh, actually, I do fancy doing a bit of shopping, or I'm going to go on the PC. So I think life has moved on from those days. It's a question of how far people actually want it to go further.
I'm just an old man. Danielle, listen, thank you very much. Really interesting. Danielle Pinnington, who's Managing Director of Shopper-Centric, a Harpenden-based retail analyst. Maybe you've got an opinion on that. 08459 455 555. Text 81333. Start your text 3CR. Now, the Green Party gather in Bristol this morning for the start of its autumn conference. Caroline Lucas, the party's outgoing leader and only MP, will formally hand over the leadership to Natalie Bennett. They would like to create a green national investment bank out of one or more of the currently nationalised banks to aid funding investment in green technologies, renewable and energy efficiency programmes. But how green are you? Justin Dealey has been speaking to people in Luton about whether they care about being green and their views on the Green Party.
I use the recycling bins quite a lot. When I finish this, it's going to go in the recycling bin. But I've not really thought about anything major.
So, to be brutally honest, the Green Party, do you really give a monkeys about them?
Not really. I think all politicians are all tied with the same brush. I don't know who gets a seat. I don't really think that any of them are any good.
That's fair enough. That's quite broad as an answer. It is quite broad. So the Green Party themselves, let me ask you this then. Do you really care about being green? Or do you think to yourself, well, we didn't recycle many years ago, so why do I need to recycle now?
Well, I think to be speaking, we do a lot of recycling at home. We do a good 60-65% of our waste is recycled. Yeah, I'll always go along with recycling. I'm a great believer because landfill is so tight these days. You can't get a hole in the ground for love nor money sort of thing, and they're filling up rather fast.
One day, would you ever vote for the Green Party? Can they be taken seriously, or
I don't think I'd ever vote. I don't think they'd ever get anywhere.
Vanessa, what's your thoughts on the Green Party? Again, people have been quite honest about them today. Your honest views on the Green Party in a nutshell?
Well, yes, I agree with a lot what they say, but I don't think they'd ever get into government.
Would you almost feel like you'd be wasting your vote by voting for them?
Yes, really, yeah.
And how much do you care about being green? Do you do things every week to be green?
Well, we recycle our waste and everything, yes. But that's about as far as we go, really, isn't it?
But I think they've got a point to make in that we all ought to be conscious of the environment, and certainly green issues ought to be at the forefront of the agenda.
And come on then, what do you do to be green? Do you do something once a week, once a month to be green, apart from recycling? Is there anything else that you do that you thought, yeah, I'm going to do that because I'm going to be green, and afterwards I'm going to feel good about it? Anything at all?
Nothing that comes immediately to mind.
I think people either agree with the policies or they don't. You know, it's up to the individual, isn't it?
And what about yourself? Do you agree with recycling, with having less gas-guzzling cars? Do you agree with all that?
I do agree with that, yes. Although I drive a car, so I can't say anything. Really.
So, as much as you agree with them, you wouldn't give up your car for them?
No.
Well, Councillor Iain Brandon is a Green County Councillor for Hertfordshire County Council, and he joins us now. Good morning, Iain.
Good morning, Iain.
3 Ians on one show. This is, I think, one of the signs of the apocalypse. The Green Party, it does face credibility issues amongst voters, doesn't it? You only managed 2.7% of the vote in your own 2010 election campaign.
That's due to, I mean, you've got to think of the 2010 election where we were making our first breakthrough, and we did that with Caroline Lucas in Brighton. And I think that shows actually there is a time where in coming general elections we will be, we would hope to be making further gains, like in places like Norwich and places like Lewisham, etc. And you've got to look also at our councillor figures. Our councillor figures have been going up, and Natalie Bennett, who's our new leader, has been really looking at pushing our MEPs, and she's looking at, and obviously the Green Party looking at trebling their MEPs in the European elections in 2014. So I certainly think credibility-wise we are getting there, and I think the figures are actually showing bit by bit that we're proving that.
Your conference starts today. What's the focus going to be?
The big focus for us at conference is about the economy and actually our alternative plan to getting the economy moving. And certainly a few of the things that we're looking at is, rather than a big cut, the amount of massive cuts that the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats are trying to push through, is looking at alternative ways to get the economy moving, like money for green energy projects by using a green investment bank.
Any other ways of kick-starting the economy?
Well, I think that's the main one, but we're also looking at things like making sure that banks are, the big bankers' tax. We're also looking to make sure that there's less tax evasion as well. That's a massive hole in the economy.
Good luck with that.
Yes.
Iain, listen, is it fair to say that the major parties have kind of cherry-picked your most popular kind of ideals and things from your manifesto, and left you with all the kind of weirdy fringes stuff? So that they're doing bits and pieces that have come from you. So you probably won't get in, will you?
I would argue that that's the case, and that's actually due to the influence that the Green Party is having both on the national and the local picture. So actually, that's credit to us that we're actually getting those types of policies in local councils and local governments, and also starting at national government in ways as well. But I think the Green Party, as people will know, it's not just about our environmental policies. We are looking at things like social inclusion and making sure that people on the social sector are a lot better off as well.
Iain, we've got 30 seconds.
Yep.
Nappy tax. Is there going to be a tax on nappies?
That's not a policy I'm aware. That's not a policy I am aware of.
Look into it, Iain. If you get rid of the nappy tax, and you might stand a chance of getting a vote from me. But if there's a tax on nappies, I can't do it. They cost a fortune as it is.
As I said, that's something I am unaware of, I must admit.
Have a little look for us. Iain, thank you very much. That's Councillor Iain Brandon, who is at the Green Party conference, the gathering this morning in Bristol. 08459 455 555. Next hour of the show, before Jonathan Vernon Smith takes over at 9, loads of stuff to talk about. The Sweeney, Smells, Sunday trading, old people drinking. It's a busy hour. Let's get the latest news now from Simon Oxley. Coming up in the last hour of the show, old enough to know better, why pensioners are abusing alcohol. We'll hear some shocking facts about drink and the over 65s. Have you been shopping till you drop on Sundays? The extended trading laws are about to end, but do you want to keep them? And the mad man who made gems like the Sweeney will be coming on the show. Very exciting. We'll be talking to the series creator. Very, very exciting indeed.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
My back is just about all right. I don't think I've been particularly grumpy this morning. If I do slip into a grumpiness, it's because my back is killing me. And no one has taken up my invitation to come and walk on my back. I think that would work. I think. I'm not quite sure, but no one has taken me up on that. Thank you very much. Now, we tend to think that when it comes to problems with alcohol, it's the nation's young people who would be most at risk. But last year, there were more admissions to hospital of pensioners for alcohol-related injuries and illnesses than 16 to 24-year-olds. Panorama investigates why those aged 65 and over are more likely to drink every day, drink at home and drink alone than any other age group. Our reporter, Sophie Solaria, has been out in the three counties speaking to people over the age of 65 who do drink regularly. She met up with Steve, a man who has become dependent on alcohol, and this is what he had to say.
I am a registered alcoholic. I suffer from the illness of alcoholism. I've been in rehab. I've been detoxed 2 times, and at the moment I'm undergoing, surveillance, regarding the hospital. I've had a few blood tests done. Possibly something is going on regarding my blood cells. That is 3 blood tests done in 6 days.
That's a very hefty bruise on your arm.
This is what happens, when you drink too much, you pay the penalty at the end of the day. You put yourself on death row. Once upon a time I was on 25 pints a day, many years ago, and we're talking about bottles of vodka, bottles of whiskey, everything. I was rock bottom, down there.
How old are you now, sir?
62.
And how much do you drink now?
When I woke up this morning, I actually had a couple of cans in the fridge, so I had those. That would be about 13 units. Then I went to the shop and I got a small can, which was a 5-point. That would be another 3 units. So now we're up to 16 units. Got the bus, come downtown, popped in here, had the Abbott sale. That's a good day, 4 units. Another Abbott sale, that's another 4 units. So today I've had about 24 units.
That's already at your limit for a whole week.
Yes, I know that.
Do you think that you'll ever be alcohol free?
No.
Well done to Sophie Solaria for getting that. It's incredible. Dr. Mark Patton is the medical director from L&D Hospital. He joins us now. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, Ian.
Does Steve's story resonate with you? Do you see this kind of thing often?
We see that very frequently, unfortunately. And what Steve describes is very heavy alcohol consumption.
And have you noticed a rise in admissions to hospitals of pensioners for alcohol-related injuries and illnesses?
Unfortunately, we've noticed a rise in admissions across all age groups.
And what exactly are you seeing, Doctor?
Well, we're seeing 2 groups of patients. We're seeing the young who tend to go out and binge drink, and we see the acute effects of alcohol, so they tend to get involved in assaults and fights, and they come in with, for example, a broken jaw. And then we see older age groups where it's down to the chronic use of alcohol, and they tend to develop alcoholic liver disease because they've been consuming alcohol very heavily over many years.
Is there anything that we can do to help this situation?
Well, I think there's a whole host of different things that we can do. We know that alcohol, the price of it, has fallen in relative terms over the years. We also know that The availability of it has increased. Supermarket opening hours are longer. Supermarkets often use alcohol as a loss leader. They very heavily promote it. So we're also responsible as individuals. The person you interviewed, Steve, he was very clear about how many units of alcohol he consumed. I think when people have got good social support, it's usually your family that recognise that perhaps you're drinking too much. Sometimes your workmates notice it because you're not making it into work. And then, clearly, local councils and government have a role as well.
Mark, when you see people like this in the hospital, do you ever talk to them about their drinking, or do you not think that that's appropriate for you to do that?
No, it's absolutely appropriate. As soon as somebody comes into hospital, one of the things that we take is we do tend to take a history which examines how much alcohol they're consuming. We try and screen people. We try and see if alcohol contributed to the admission. We know that there's services both within the hospital and outside in the community in primary care where people who are drinking heavily can access those services and see if they can try and either limit or stop their alcohol consumption.
I think one of the big problems with alcoholism or excessive use of alcohol is that people are often in denial that they've got a problem. They say, well, it's not me, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yes, I think, sadly, a lot of people who drink to excess think that, well, the damage will happen to somebody else. I'm okay. I can manage. But frequently, these people, their friends and their families are telling them that they're getting concerned about the amount that they're drinking. So I think listen to the people around you. I think one of the sad things about the report is that a lot of people drink alone, they drink at home. We like to think that we drink alcohol in social situations, but clearly if you're just sitting at home on your own drinking alcohol, then you're not exactly being very sociable.
Mark, listen, thank you very much for that. That's Dr. Mark Patton, who is the medical director from L&D Hospital, talking about people over 65 drinking alcohol. If you want to hear more about this, then there is a BBC Panorama programme on Monday. Joyce has called in. Joyce is in Leagrave. Good morning, Joyce.
Oh, good morning.
What's your take on this, Joyce?
Well, I could never understand why the authorities, whoever deemed to do these stupid things, why they gave corner shops, think how many corner shops there are on each street, the ruling that they could sell alcohol. Because when you think about it, senior citizens or youths or anything coming on from a football or go in a corner shop, if they had to go to an off-licence or a supermarket, as you say, they wouldn't be drinking so much and getting into trouble. But older people, they may be able to go up to their corner shop and buy alcohol and come home. It was encouraging, actually, alcohol.
You know, the funny thing is you can buy alcohol in petrol stations now. That always struck me. That struck me as odd. But do you really think that would make a difference? Because every high street's got like a mini supermarket now, hasn't it? Or an off-licence. I know where I live, there are 2 supermarkets on the high street and 2 off-licences.
Yes, but some people can't walk down to the high street, and on every corner there's a shop, and the corner shops there is alcohol. And why that was the ruling was changed that they could sell it. I know it's good for business, but you can imagine how that encouraged drinking.
Joyce, can I ask you a personal question?
I'm over 21.
Can I see your ID? No. Do you drink at all, Joyce?
I tell you what I do. It's one of my father's old things, that when I've got a cold coming or I feel I've got shivery, whatever, he used to keep a little drop of whiskey on the mantelpiece in the kitchen, and he used to have it with his cup of tea in the morning in case he got a cold.
So, hang on, you're saying you have a little bit of whiskey every morning to stop you getting a cold?
No, not every morning, only if he felt he was getting a cold. And really, I don't drink, no.
And do you live alone? Do you see people? Because one of the reasons we're hearing this morning is that people are lonely, so they're finding friends, they're finding a friend in the bottle.
Excuses.
Right.
It's get up and go. I believe in mind over matter. And to be honest, you are what you are, and there's always a bad excuse. And if you haven't got the money, how can you afford it?
Well, this is the thing. I think
I'd rather give it to the grandchildren if I could afford it.
I think this is it, though. If you have a problem with alcohol or an addiction of any kind, you find the money somehow, don't you? I mean, you forego food or clothes or things like that.
Yes, but also it promotes burglary and everything else, and so does everything else.
Sorry? I don't think there's lots of pensioners going around burgling. Is that what you're saying?
Youngsters do, don't they?
They do. Joyce, we're going off on a slight tangent. Thank you very much, Joyce and Leagrave there. If you've got a personal story about that, I'm really keen for someone to phone up who's over 65 and be honest about the amount of alcohol that you drink. Be honest, I'm not going to make any judgment. I'm curious. And do you think you have a problem with the amount that you drink? 08459 455 555. I think, as I said to the doctor, that people who are alcoholics or have a problem with alcohol are in denial. They don't accept, it's not me, Governor. No, I can handle this. I could stop this any time. In fact, one of the common things alcoholics do is they go for an extended period of not drinking to prove they're not alcoholics. They go, well, I didn't drink for a fortnight, so I'm fine. I can go back to drinking now. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. I would love to have a chat with you about this morning. We've got 45 minutes before JVS comes and takes over. You can send me a text as well, 81333. Start your text 3CR or email 3cr@bbc.co.uk. The headlines this morning on Friday the 7th of September at 8:15. More over 65s have alcohol-related problems than any other age group. French police are hoping to question the 4-year-old British girl who survived the gun attack which killed her family on Wednesday. In sport, a golden night for Paralympics GB with wins in men's sprinting and the wheelchair races. We've got a full weather bulletin in a minute with Steve Weston. And coming up, I may not be the sportiest person, but I'm going to be playing cricket this morning in the Three Counties car park. If you've got a car in there, I'd move it. Find out why in a second.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, I'm joined by Jonathan Vernon-Smith. You may know him as JVS or Jivs.
Do you know, we used to have someone here who she always wanted to abbreviate everyone's name. So she would have called you E.
Oh.
And one day, because I always answer the phone in the office, hello, JVS.
Yes.
And it was her. And she went, oh, hello, Javes.
Fantastic. Now, listen, I've got a bad back.
Yeah.
You said you can do the back clicking, but I'm too tall.
I can crack backs, but I think you might be too tall because I'd have to kind of get behind you and I'd have to give you a wrench. And I'm just a bit worried that you might be... I'm a bit worried. You'd be a bit tall. Do you want to try it?
Probably best we don't. What's coming up on your show today, Jonathan Jivs?
Oh, gosh.
Can we do this bit in a separate studio from now on? Because I don't think this is working.
This is terrible, isn't it, honestly. Coming up at 9 on the big phone, and you sure you don't want me to crack your back?
I'm fine. I don't want you to give me a good wrench, so...
Coming up at 9, is there anything wrong with enjoying a drink? I've been very interested in your discussion you're having this morning. The BBC's Panorama programme has found that last year, more pensioners were admitted to hospital with alcohol-related injuries and illnesses than 16 to 24-year-olds. Quite shocking, this, isn't it? In the eastern region, more than 57,000 over 65s were admitted for alcohol-related problems. But surely most of us enjoy a drink sensibly, and it's not an issue, is it? Are there too many people making us too worried about having a little drinky? I mean, why are you laughing? What's funny?
Because you're really frowning.
Well, I get a bit sick of it. I can tell you what, I get a bit sick of it. I mean, the Queen drinks every day.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with her. My grandmother is 98, sherry at 6, gin and tonics at 7, and white wine with your dinner. She's 98, for goodness sake.
Well, I think, when you're that age, then perhaps...
Her whole life. She used to run a hotel and a pub. She's always drinking.
But can you not see that for some people that could be a problem, though?
Well, I don't know. When does it become a problem? Because there are so many people jumping up and down saying, oh, you mustn't drink. Oh, if you have a couple of drinks, if you have a glass of wine every night, you've got some kind of problem. Well, actually, the vast majority of people who are over 60 probably do enjoy a drink most nights, and there's no problem whatsoever.
I would suspect that for the majority of people there's not a problem, but we've heard some stories this morning from people who clearly do have some sort of alcohol dependency.
Well, from 9, I want to hear your views on this. Is there anything wrong with enjoying a drink? Do you like a sherry every evening? Has it ever done you any harm? Perhaps you've lived with someone who used to be one of those people who would have a little drink, and gradually it spiralled out of control. 08459 455 555. Is there anything wrong with enjoying a drink? It's the big phone-in this morning at 9.
You sound very angry, and I'm wondering if that is hinting
that I've got a drink problem.
That your lifestyle might need to be questioned slightly.
I did have a couple of glasses of Pinot Grigio last night.
Which is something I said this morning before I came in. Thank you, Jonathan.
I'll keep it in the glove box.
Look forward to it. Jonathan Vernon-Smith will be on at 9 o'clock. Always worth a listen. It's a cracking listen. If you've not listened before, I cannot recommend it thoroughly.
Your back.
Later on, please. Thank you, love. Good morning. I think we're broadcasting now live from the Three Counties car park. Now, I've left all the safety and comfort of the studio. I'm out here in the car park. It's not a bad day, actually. It's quite nice. This summer, we've seen superhuman efforts on the sporting front, and now a cricket team from Hertfordshire is continuing to defy the odds. That's what it says here, lads, and the three very big lads. Well, two big lads and... Reed Cricket Club, who play near Royston, will play at the home of cricket Lords in the National Village Cup final on Sunday. 292 teams enter the competition, and for Reed, it's their first ever appearance in the final. James Heslin will captain the team on Sunday, and along with Lee Johnson and Tom Greaves, I'm guessing that's you two fellas, joins me now. James, good morning.
Morning.
Right, I'm not being funny. Look at the size of them two. What's happened to you? Is the captain supposed to be a little bit weedier?
Obviously. I know Lee and Tom work out, every day, so I'm sure it's paying off for them.
And they look really happy to be up at this time of the morning as well. You all right with that, lads?
Yeah, no, it was
excellent. Now, James, playing at Lords, that's got to be pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, since we got further and further in this competition, everyone's been getting a little bit more excited, and I don't think it's quite sunk in yet. 292 teams started off. Did you think you'd get to the final? To be honest, we got to last 32 last year, and we always thought we had a little bit of a chance. But when you actually get into later rounds, you're thinking, we're going to slip up at some stage. But yeah, we just kept going. So
you're going to play a team from Leicestershire, Woodhouse Grange. Any good?
Yorkshire.
They're from Yorkshire.
Yeah, they're from Yorkshire. We don't know a lot about them. You can't really find out that much technically about the players, so we just kind of not really bothered looking, really, to be honest. Just,
You're just going to go... You'll kick their backsides, won't you? I don't know if you're allowed to do that in cricket. Are you allowed to kick people's backsides in cricket?
I don't know if we should be making too many bold statements at this stage. But we'll give it our best shot.
It's going to be... Look, there's a car coming. I wouldn't bring your car in. We're going to play cricket. Back away from the car park. It could be messy. It's going to be a special day if you win, isn't it? Because you lost a popular player recently.
It's very sad for the club. Steve was a great guy. So, hopefully we can go out there and do it for him and his family. Everyone who knew him at the club.
It'd be a nice tribute, wouldn't it, for a fallen friend?
Of course it would. We'll all be looking to do that for Steve, and I'm sure, we'd have been very proud.
Brilliant. Okay, well, that's Steve Lovegrove. Now, you're Lee, aren't you? Yeah. I can tell why you're Lee, because your nickname's the Red Bullet.
That's right, yeah, the Red Bullet.
I shall describe Lee. He is red and is shaped like a bullet.
Well, that's not where my nickname's from. 2 years ago, there was a competition on Sky Sports called the Speed Gun Challenge, and I bowled 76 miles an hour, and as a joke, our overseas player, the Aussie bloke, gave me the nickname of Red Bullet because I used to bowl really fast.
You bowled 76 miles an hour?
That's right, yeah.
He's holding the cricket ball now, dear listener, so be careful. And Tom, what's your nickname?
The Big Dog.
Yeah. I have to describe Tom. Tom is looking very cool, sort of cool. He's wearing shorts, a nice little short sleeve top. He's got his sunnies on. He's looking, you're looking with it. Why are you the big dog? And I hope this is clean.
Oh, very clear. My friend Matthew Bowles, who's currently listening, apparently, he gave me the nickname just because he thought I looked a bit like a dog and I'm quite big. And that was that, really. Yeah.
You are quite big.
Yeah.
You do look like a dog. A chihuahua. Right, how much time have we got on this, Ollie? Have we got plenty of time before? Because I'm keen to play a little bit of cricket. OK, right. I've got to confess, my cricketing skills are not the best. We are in the car park. Why have you chosen to do it right near my car? That doesn't seem fair.
He said, look for a cheap car and get it.
Steady on, lads. And also, I thought you were going to bring, like, a tennis ball, or, you know, one of those balls that kids use that's got holes in, so that's a proper cricket ball.
Yeah, well, you know, we take it seriously at Reed, so, you know, we're here, and Lee's going to bowl his quickest, so
no!
I don't know who's batting.
Well, have we got a bat? That would help. OK, that would help. I'm going to have a little go at batting. Now, the last time I played cricket, I was about 12 years old, and I caught the ball. I thought, that hurt. I'm never doing that again. Have you got tough hands?
Oh yeah, you have to have tough hands. Cricket.
Look at the size of your hand. That's huge. Look, that's massive. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want gloves as well?
Who needs gloves, you wimps? Hey, cricket bat technology has come on a long way since I last played. Look at that. It's all aerodynamic.
That's it, yeah. I've got a bit of reputation for taking weight off my bat, so I hope that's about right for you.
Look at this. OK, Ollie, now this is going to be tough, Ollie. Ollie is my technical assistant this morning, because you're going to have to hold the microphone in a position I can speak into whilst I'm getting bowled at 76 miles an hour. Be careful, he's a work experience. It doesn't matter if we lose him. Don't go for my face. No. That's the thing. All right, let's do some gentle. Let's do a little gentle thing first, shall we? There we go. Listen, this is going to be good. Get that microphone near this cricket bat, because it's going to sound awesome. Get it down there, Ollie. Come on, look. Here we go. Let's have it. Oh! Now, we've got... I'm getting into this a little bit. It's now quite exciting, and I'm sort of looking around thinking, well, can I lob it? Oh! It's going close. It's going close. Can I have a go at the bowling? What are you, Mad Dog, Red Bullet? You're Red Bullet.
I'm a Red Bullet.
OK.
You want to bowl at the captain?
Yeah, I want to bowl at the captain. I want to get a googly. Do I want to get a googly? It's not what I think it is it? I can't do the overarm. This was another reason I found cricket so tedious at school, was this. By the way, you're listening to BBC Three Counties, if you wondered. You've not just tuned into some weird kids who've taken over the FM transmitter. This is actually the BBC. OK, so I'm going to bowl at James the captain. Here we go. Oh! He's out! How's that? Give me another one. I'm enjoying this. Come on, right, this is it. I'm going to do a proper run-up now. No messing around. That yellow line is my crease. I know all the lingo. Here we go. Stop it! Ah! Now, James.
Yeah.
Come and talk. I'm actually out of breath. Give me some tips on how that went.
Well, I think you're pretty good, actually. Yeah, have you played cricket before?
Well, not for a long time. I've got a natural kind of talent.
Yeah, what are you doing Sunday? Are you busy?
I'm busy, yeah. I'll be busy. I'll be playing Xbox, innit?
Oh, right,
I'll be having a good sit down and not doing a lot. So listen, just give us, name check your team one more time.
The team, sorry? Yeah. What, all the players?
Give us. Ignore these two lads. Give us who's the star player?
Who's the star player? Oh dear, this is a very difficult question for me. I can't give you one. I can't give you a star player, otherwise everyone will be moaning at me. Sorry.
Red Bullet, who's the star player?
Well, obviously me.
Yes, a good lad. Listen, is it Sunday that you're playing? I wish you the very, very best of luck with it. Let's maybe speak to you next week, and you come back trophy winners.
Yeah, we hope so.
Excellent stuff.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you very much, Simon. Coming up in the last half hour of the show. Oh, I nearly gave myself an extra 30 minutes. No, thank you. The last half hour of the show, we're talking Obama, we're talking Sunday trading, and also a bit of this.
Detective Inspector Reagan, Flying Squad, you're next.
Yeah, come on, the Sweeney. Yes, fantastic stuff. In the States, US President Barack Obama has accepted the nomination of the Democratic Party, telling voters they face a generational choice in November's election. He highlighted the difference between his aims and Republican policies and reprised his 2008 theme of hope. Republican Mitt Romney is challenging Mr. Obama for the White House, with polls showing a tight race. We can talk now to our US reporter, James Gordon. Morning, James.
Hello there.
How did the speech go down?
Well, this was a speech about
choice. A dozen times he told Americans that this election is a choice between me and my opponent, not just a referendum on my 4 years in office. And in the convention hall in Charlotte in North Carolina, they loved it, of course. They were full of Democrats who love their president even now. And really the speech overall was vintage Obama. The cadences he has, the great lines he uses. The question is, has it changed the minds of any of the people who will be voting in November? And this is how the speech came to a rousing conclusion.
I'm asking you to rally around a set of goals for your country. Goals in manufacturing, energy, education, national security, and the deficit. Real, achievable plans that will lead to new jobs, more opportunity, and rebuild this economy on a stronger foundation. That's what we can do in the next 4 years, and that is why I am running for a second term as President of the United States.
He appealed to people who voted for him 4 years ago, and he says he knows it's different now, that people are in a difficult position, but he outlined two different versions for America, two different visions for America, that of the Democrats and the other of the Mitt Romney and the Republican Party, and he says that more people will suffer if Mitt Romney wins.
So the election is 60 days away. He presented voters with a choice.
Yes, in terms of his opponent, Barack Obama sounded a warning, really, about Mitt Romney, saying it would be a very different sort of America if he wins. And he really tried to hammer home to potential Democrat voters that this election is about a choice, that many people will suffer if Mitt Romney wins. And he even mocked him by saying he didn't have very much foreign policy experience. And he asked, how could he manage diplomacy with Beijing when he offended America's closest ally, Britain, over the Olympics when he went on a trip there in the summer.
How did he handle the notions of hope and change that were so strong in 2008?
Well, in many parts of America, that there isn't a lot of hope, and some people don't think there's been the right sort of change. And so President Obama had this new take on an old slogan that he used during the campaign 4 years ago, and he said that the American people were the change. He said that they had voted for the change themselves, and they inspired him with hope. And he talked about various inspirational cases that gave him hope. So it was a nifty way of sort of using the old slogan, but sort of rather than he being a symbol of hope and change, he said it was the people of America that were the hope and change.
Where does the election go now, James?
Well, there's 60 days to go, 2 months, and there's going to be 3 presidential debates between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama when those Americans who are undecided will get a more of a flavour of what each candidate's about and what their policies are about. So that takes place between now and November the 6th. But apart from that, the polls are neck and neck. It really is all in the balance.
Of course, the best thing that's happened for the Democrats in the last couple of weeks has been Clint Eastwood. Did you see that? At the Republican
Party?
Party?
Was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Man, if you've not seen the Clint Eastwood clip, go and look up Clint Eastwood Republican speech. It's incredible. Totally helped Barack Obama, I think, inadvertently. James, listen, thank you very much. That's James Gordon, our US reporter. It really is an astounding clip. They wheel out Clint Eastwood to give a speech to the Republican Party, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Anyway, we've been talking about drinking this morning, particularly drinking it with older people 65 plus. We've got David in Wilmslow. Good morning, David.
Hello.
David, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm just an average person, really. I do. I drink, but I wouldn't say I was an excessive drinker.
Can I ask how much you drink on an average day?
Well, I've been listening to your the advice put out by the radio, and they said if you drink on one day, you must the next 2 days you have to have alcohol free, and then on the third day you can resume drinking. So I'll try and follow that pattern, really.
Okay, so on the day that you do drink, how much would you say you drink, David?
Oh, not very much. A glass or two, I think.
Of wine?
Well, wine, and can be beer or cider. I quite like cider too.
Do you drink on your own?
Yeah, I have to confess I do. But I mean, it's not. I try not to let that stop. I don't. I do sort of say when I've drunk what I think, I say no. You know, I try and be strong-minded about it.
Do you ever lie to people about how much you've been drinking, like family or friends?
Well, I just don't say anything at all.
Right. I think there's a garage near you, isn't there, that sells alcohol?
Yeah, that's what I didn't really want to... well, it's where I do my shopping mostly, and I think if I say too much, well, they might be a bit... Well, I suppose it might be... But I am a bit...
Do you think that the garage... that having alcohol so near to you for sale makes it a little bit harder to resist?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, David? And take this any way you want. Have you had a drink this morning?
No, but there's a bottle in the fridge I could do if I wanted.
And do you often drink in the morning?
No, I take follow the naval tradition, if you like. I'm not a Navy man, but I don't drink before the sun's over the yardarm.
When's the yard? That's evening, is it? Is that dusk?
No, it's midday.
It's midday, is it?
Yeah.
So you could start drinking at midday?
Yeah.
And you sure it's just 2 glasses you're having from midday?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you... you said that you have to resist for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Do you find that hard? Those days when you're not drinking, do you find it hard not to drink?
Well, if the temptation is there, I suppose, yes, it's hard, but sometimes you can go out and there's no temptation at all.
Yeah, of course. Do you feel that you need to talk to someone about this, or about, being lonely at all?
Well, I suppose I would want to speak to a relative about it, but, well, yeah.
Have you got any relatives you could speak to about it?
Well, I could speak to them, but I don't think they are that interested.
What makes you think that?
Well, they've got their own lives, they've got their own, things, I wouldn't say obsessions, but interests and things that...
What relatives are they to you, David? Are they children, grandchildren?
Sister and, sister. And a nephew. Well, my nephew is very good with me. We've got a very close relationship, but at the moment he's abroad, so, I can't... Do you not think it's maybe worth just having a word with your nephew or your sister on the phone and just kind of raising these issues? The fact that you've raised it to me, complete stranger, would imply that you want to talk to someone about it, and you may just be surprised what your sister or what your nephew or what your best mate says. Well, I think they might be having problems too, so I don't know that they would want to...
Hey, listen, one of the things I find is when I'm having a tough time is if a mate phones up and says they're having a tougher time, it takes the pressure off me a bit, so you never know. Listen, David, I really appreciate you calling.
Yeah.
It's very kind of you to be so honest, and I know that with matters around this, it can be very difficult. If you want help, there is help.
Yeah.
Listen, we're going to take your details, and if you don't mind, one of our team will give you a call after the show, and we'll just put you in touch with some people who might be able to help. And whether you follow that up or not is entirely up to you. How about that?
Yeah.
Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, David. Keep in touch.
Thanks.
Okay, there we go. It's David in Wills there. You have to think, don't you? This is a big thing. And a lot of people say, if you're drinking... It sounds like he's not drinking a lot. Well, it doesn't matter how much he's drinking. If there is a problem with it, no matter if it's a glass of wine a day or if it's a bottle of vodka a day, if the person who is doing that drinking is having a problem with it. And I think that I got more from what David didn't say than from what he did say in that conversation there. And I think that's the important bit. David, listen, we'll put you in touch with some people, and if you want to follow that up, you can. And if you've got a problem, you think you may have a problem with alcohol, or a friend of yours or a relative might have a problem with alcohol, there are places that can help. Definitely places that can help. I mean, the obvious places are the Samaritans, or Alcoholics Anonymous, or Al-Anon. All of these different places can be fantastic, and you can find the phone numbers really easily. And I thoroughly recommend them. It's not worth going through this on your own. We've got another 15 minutes of the show. If you want to give us a call, it's 08459 455 555. Don't forget, we're talking about drinking, and Jonathan Vernon-Smith will be talking about it from 9 o'clock as well. He's going from a slightly different angle. He's asking, is there anything wrong with enjoying a drink? And of course, I don't think there is. I don't think there is. If you can do it responsibly, if you can keep a handle on it, keep a lid on it, then that's fine. I think what was telling there about that last call was that he admitted that he drinks on his own. And I think that can sometimes be the start of a situation. Jonathan, of course, happily enjoys a bottle of Pinot Grigio every now and then. And is coming from the other angle, that maybe we're living in a slightly nanny state, in inverted commas, and perhaps we're being told too much how we should be drinking. Jonathan Vernon-Smith, on at 9 o'clock, always a cracking listen. Is there anything wrong with enjoying a drink? It's the same number to get hold of him at 9 as it is to call me. 08459 455 555. You can text as well, of course. You can start those texts now if you want. 81333. Start your text 3CR. And, of course, you can email him or me, 3cr@bbc.co.uk.
Doreen,
Oh, I do apologise. It was always nice to hear what's going on there in the world of Justin Dealey, but inappropriate to hear him now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that button, and we're going to go to Sophie Tyler with the travel, without any music, I'm afraid. Sophie, you have to Acapulco.
That's all right.
And away you go.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:45. These are your headlines this morning on BBC Three Counties Radio. More over 65s have alcohol-related problems than any other age group. French police are hoping to question the 4-year-old British girl who survived the gun attack which killed her family on Wednesday. In sport, it's been a golden night for Paralympics GB with wins in men's sprinting and the wheelchair races. Weather, a dry day with long spells of hazy sunshine. Maximum temperature is 24 degrees. And coming up, more on whether shops should be staying open until later on Sundays.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio, here until 9 o'clock when Jonathan Vernon-Smith takes over. We've been talking about older people drinking. We've got Bill from Hemel on the line. Good morning, Bill.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, Bill. Tell us your story. Are you a drinker?
I was a drinker. I've drunk all my life. I'm 63.
Yep.
I don't mind admitting it. And I've drunk all my life, socially. But when I was getting older, I was tending... I live on my own.
Yeah.
I had a divorce over drink. Lost a lot of relationships over drink. Now, in the last couple of years, I was really drinking excessively. I was drinking about 3 or 4 bottles a day of wine.
3 or 4 bottles of wine a day?
A day. And now, I didn't know I had a problem. Now, this is what I'm saying. About two years ago, I collapsed. And I've got very good neighbours and I've got good family in a way. But I was starting to feel not very well. I was starting to get very lethargic. And all of a sudden I collapsed. And I didn't know this, but I had cirrhosis of the liver.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I collapsed and I had to be sent to hospital. I was there for about 4 or 5 weeks in hospital. And I thought, this is where drink gets to, with the illusions of the drink itself. I thought I was being abducted by aliens. Right?
Well, so you literally thought you were being abducted by aliens because you were so out of it.
I was right out of it, and what I was told after, I was nearly dead. I nearly died.
Oh, you would be.
No, now, the thing is, this is the thing. I came out of it by the doctors and nurses, very, very good, from Watford General, and they cured me to the best they could. I came out of hospital, and there was something in my head, and other people were saying, "Cool, you were lucky. You were lucky." And anyway, I progressed now. I have not had a drink for over 2 years.
Fantastic! Congratulations.
Now, the reasons why is because I've got a little granddaughter. I've got 2 daughters. I've got a grandson. Now, the reasons why I have stopped drinking is because of my family, and also I'm not drinking because for me. Now, A little incident. I hope I'm not going on.
No, go on. This is interesting.
I was on water pills, which they what it is. I had to go to the hospital a few times because of all the blood, the acids and everything of drink. It blows you up and you get a horrible fluid.
Bill, sorry to interrupt, 'cause we are running out of time today. Can I ask you a question? How did you stop? Do you go to meetings? Do you go to church? What did you do?
No. I did go. This is what I'm saying. Before I did collapse, I went to an agency called Turning Point.
Okay, yeah.
Right, I went there for a while. It did help me,
yep,
and
I
did cut down, and I tried to my utmost best too. But in a way, it didn't help me that much.
So sorry just to move the story on, just because we've got a couple more things to squeeze in. Are you saying that you managed to stop drinking on your own?
On my own, from the hospital.
There we go. Listen, I could talk to you a lot longer, Bill, but we're running out of time. Thank you very much for your honesty. Some people do it on their own. Some people, Turning Point does excellent work. So does AA. Loads of different places. Now, you may have noticed that shops are open for longer on a Sunday. It's a temporary extension for retailers introduced during the Olympics. It's due to end this Sunday, but some businesses are calling for it to be continued. They say where shopping online is the norm, the law reducing trading hours is outdated. Well, earlier on in the show, I spoke to Danielle Pinnington, Managing Director of Shopper Centric, a Harpenden-based retail analyst.
Only half of shoppers actually say they'd be interested in shopping on a Sunday. And I think that's the issue is, yes, we like the extra flexibility, but whether we're actually going to get out and spend more is really hard to say, especially when we're all still quite pressured in terms of how much money we've got available.
Well, what do you think? Justin has been out talking to people on the street to get their opinions.
Doreen, the Sunday trading laws have been relaxed for the Olympics and Paralympics. That, of course, is coming to an end very soon. Do you think those laws should be extended full-time?
I think so. Yeah, I think times have changed and people have got used to the longer hours, so I think so. I think so.
Isn't Sunday still a little bit special, though?
I suppose to some people they are. Yes, I suppose so. But again, you've got to move on, and that's it. Yeah.
Because some people would say the argument for the shops would be, if you go home right now, you can shop online 24/7. The shops on the high street are struggling. It's been a bad year for them. This might just make a difference.
Yeah. It might do, I suppose, but like myself, I mean, I don't shop online, and especially a lot of older people, they don't shop online. So, I think they do like to have the choice. I think there should be a choice now.
So, Graham, what's your thoughts on the Sunday trading laws?
Well, it's one of those issues where I can see both sides of the arguments. I'm not a religious person, so I don't have that sort of issue to consider. But I can see why it's important to have a day, perhaps, where people don't have to work and have an opportunity to spend time with their families and so on. On the other hand, it's convenient to have somewhere to shop. So from a selfish point of view, I can see attraction of having shops open. And taking a wider picture, I can see the fact that people do need time off and to have a day where people could spend time relaxing with their family is a good idea. So I don't feel that strongly one way or the other.
Now, Fran, we're actually inside the mall here. You're off to work in a second. You think these hours shouldn't be extended full-time, don't you? Tell us why that is.
Because I think Sunday's special, and if people can't shop for the rest of the week, then I'd like to come.
Haven't we got to go with the times, though, Fran?
Oh, come on, give us a break. No, I work in the shop. No way.
Yeah, so there's a no way from you. What about yourself, madam? What do you think? Should they be extended?
With Fran. No, there's no need for it. There's plenty of time, Monday to Saturday.
Well, Mark Broadhead is the manager of the Mall Shopping Centre in Luton. Morning, Mark.
Good morning to you.
How's it been over the last few weeks with the hours extended?
I would say that we've seen a marginal increase in footfall, but spend has been sporadic across some of the retailers. Some have had success, some haven't. I think it's been an interesting exercise. We only undertook 6 of the Sundays out of the allotted 8. That was purely because of a planning issue in respect of giving our retailers advance notice of the extended trading hours.
What do the retailers say? Are the majority of them in favour of the extended hours? Do they want to see this continue?
I think most of the retailers would like to see it continued, but the caveat on that is at this moment in time, specifically through the Olympics and the Paralympics, I think what we have is a great atmosphere in the country, and I think a lot of the public have embraced that atmosphere and actually watched the games themselves rather than come shopping. I would like to see this kind of trial continued, not straight after the Olympics, but for more of the peak period. So when we get to Christmas, to kind of relax it then, but at the same time, listening to all the other comments, for the rest of the year, I think 6 hours is sufficient on a Sunday.
Mark, listen, thank you very much. Mark Broadhead, manager of the Mall Shopping Centre in Luton. Be interesting to see if this change in Sunday, the relaxing of Sunday opening hours, becomes a permanent thing or not. Listen to this. Fantastic, isn't it? The Sweeney. I used to genuinely think when I was a kid those were the words, that you sang the Sweeney over the top of it. It turns out I'm an idiot. Well, we can talk, and this is cool, isn't it, to Iain Kennedy-Martin, who is creator of the series. Good morning, Iain.
Good morning.
It's the fourth Iain on the show. I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable with that. You created... How did you come up with the idea for the Sweeney?
Well, it was a collision of a couple of things. One was the arrival of Commissioner Marks in Scotland Yard, and he wanted everything changed. And I also knew a detective in the flying squad, the Sweeney in Scotland Yard. I knew him quite well. And he, immediately there were kind of loggerheads. And my best friend was John Thor. I'd worked with him on the series Red Cap well before your time.
He was well before my time, but I'm impressed he was your best friend. That's very great.
And drinking companion.
Yes.
And a borderline alcoholic. And I was looking for a series for him because I knew he was a very good actor. And after Red Cap, he had it was up and down for him, because in those days, which is different from now, if you played a lead for 39 hours in a television series, then when that stopped, there was virtually nothing, because producers thought, oh, God, we can't cast John Thor in Dr. Finley's casebook because half the audience will say, what's that detective sergeant from the military police doing in Dr. Finley? Now, it's completely different. If you're a successful actor in Coronation Street and you leave...
You get your own series.
You get everything.
Ian, listen, we're running out of time, and I feel terrible because I could talk to you for hours about this. I think the Sweeney is one of the greatest...
Let me just say that the Sweeney's now on high definition, and it looks terrific. High definition DVD, and it's worth...
I think it comes out on Monday. Listen, can I ask very quickly, the movie...
Yeah.
Did you have anything to do with the movie?
Nothing at all.
Do you get any money from the movie?
A great deal, yes.
Yeah. That's the important thing, and that's what I wanted to hear. Ian, I feel terrible having to cut you off at such an early moment, because I could talk to you for hours, but that is Iain Kennedy-Martin. He created the Sweeney, dear listener. What have you done with your lives? He created the Sweeney, and he says it's out on DVD on Monday. He gets a few quid from the film as well. That comes out on September the 12th, so you might as well go and see that. Be interesting to see how the film compares, but The Sweeney is one of those great TV series. It just captures that time perfectly. I really wanted to talk to me about the police reaction to the series as well, because they kind of started trying to clean up their image as a result of The Sweeney. Thank you very much, Iain Kennedy-Martin there. Thank you very much, everyone who called in and took part in the show. I'll be back on Monday at 6 o'clock. Coming up next, it's Jonathan Vernon-Smith. He's asking, do we drink more as we get older? You'll listen to him after this. I'll see you on Monday.
Getting beds, hearts and bucks talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.